Peepo comfy.
Yep. Oh, Jesus. We back. Oh boy, man, what a week. Holy shit. I am so glad to be back. You have no idea. I had one of, possibly, the fucking worst weekends and / weeks of the year. And today, it is over. I'm back. I'm in a great mood because I get to just make art and chill and just do the shit that I like. So that's it, man. We're back. But I hear some of you had an amazing weekend, thus being at Gen Con. We got to talk about that today. So what's up, guys? What's going on? Good to see all of y'all. It is indeed the first stream of the week on a Thursday? Is it Thursday? Hold on. It is Thursday. Oh my God. It is Tuesday. Oh, jeez, man. Wannabe of all trades. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome to the stream. What's up? You got here just in time for me to complain. No, I'm back. We're back. We're good. I'm in a great mood today. I went for a walk this morning. I did actually have quite the productive week because my family was here. Well, family, not my you know what I mean. You know, when you get married, the family just becomes family. It's not your family or whatever. So, yeah, we have family here for the long weekend because I don't know. Was it a long weekend in the U.S.? It was a long weekend in Canada. We had Heritage Day in Alberta. That's right. We gotta think about our heritage, whatever that's supposed to mean, on Monday, which means people came up on Friday and stayed until Tuesday. And then yesterday I was just so exhausted and beat because I just switched to new medication for something and that shit knocked me on my ass. I was sleeping for 3 hours a day in the middle of the day. I never nap. And I was like, so I had my family here, had to like entertain people and whatever, and it's fine. They don't watch my stream. They don't like me anyway. So I can shit talk them all I want. But it was that kind of family visit, right? So had that. On top of it, was on a new medication, which was knocking me on my ass for 3 hours a day, and I'm off that shit. I'll try something else, man. See, fucking allergies. Jesus Christ, are you kidding? But yes, so I had a bad weekend, bad week. I didn't do shit for work except for getting Kitty's commission finished. That's awesome. I got that done. But it is a new day, a new era. And I want to talk about Gen Con because I understand some of you guys met up and played a little game of the Realms of Eldara. That's right, the very first Gen Con appearance of the Realms of Eldara. I'm so excited to hear about the game. I read a little bit about it, but I need to get opinions and feedbacks and collect. You know, it seems like it went pretty well. Seems like everybody was enjoying themselves. I'm thrilled you guys played the small little bit of Horizon you guys played. So who was there? Anybody else from the guild there? Or was it just Atari? I believe you were running it, and then Mel, I believe you sat in for at least one of the games. I'm not sure, but either way, thank you for playing. Thank you for running it, Atari. I appreciate you guys. Rolls were terrible yesterday. The party decided to fight a death knight, and 75% of the rolls on both sides were 5 or below. I love when that happens. When you go through an entire round and nothing happens, Ashy. That's when you know you have good encounter design. You want to see Deadpool with friends? That was my weekend. That's pretty good, Thorkin. Ella went to see Deadpool. She wanted me to go to see Deadpool with her again. She wanted to see it again. I had everything spoiled for me. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna go see it, but hello. I think I was supposed to find this place because I'm listening to the Fellowship of the Ring, discussing a D&D campaign on Discord, working on some art myself. I feel like all that culminated me into this direction, dude. That's a productive day right there. Like, actually, I've had that day. Are you kidding? Where I've had Lord of the Rings on my TV right beside me. I've been on Discord talking about D&D with either other DMs or my players or whatever, whilst working on D&D art. So you are most welcome here, my friend. You are among family. It was so much fun. That's good, dude. I'm glad to hear that. Didn't find Kitty, but found Faye. I don't want to hear about how tall Faye is, because I'm of the impression that Faye is a gnome IRL. And the reason why I make fun of Faye so much for being short is because the origin of that was I I had this impression of average height in the United States and Canada, Atari, that Faye finds offensive. See, I find myself short. I think that I'm a short individual. I'm right in the average. I'm like 5'10". All right? And I find myself short. I find myself looking up to a lot of people when I'm discussing various things. I go to the gym, I'm looking up a little bit. Maybe that's true. Apparently the average male height is 5'9", but I don't believe that. I think more dudes are taller. Maybe I just don't notice smaller, shorter individuals. I don't know. But I thought that the average height for women in the United States and Canada was at least 5'7". And Faye finds that repugnant. She thinks that it is so skewed and wrong, because apparently the average height for women is like 5'2" or something, which I just say is her short coping. It doesn't help that I'm married to somebody that's 6 feet, right on the dot, a little bit. I don't know, but yeah. So no, I just, every time I talk about height with Faye, it has to be me relentlessly insulting her height and calling her short, because I don't know how tall she is. I think she's like 5'4" or 5'5" or something like that, or 5'2". I don't know. She's around there, but I tell her that when we actually meet at Gen Con or TwitchCon one of these days, I won't be able to find her just because I can't see that far down. You know, I need my super magnifying glasses to find her in a crowd. But I'm glad you got to meet her in person. I did say that I would find her eventually just because of how loud she is, which I assume is even louder in person. But I don't know, man. I'm glad you found. I'm glad you guys met up and y'all had a little game, man. Older also wants to run a one shot that's literally just Monster Hunter. What? Older wants to run a one shot? I want to see that. I want to see Olner's first attempt at DM in combat, because I think Olner would do really well at it. Actually, yeah. Big thing was 2 players from Thursday came back for part 2 on Saturday. That's awesome, dude. That's actually super sick. I'm very pleased to hear that. I wish I could have gone, man. I am gonna make plans to do more conventions and to be able to travel, hopefully, if things work out over the next year. If Kickstarter campaign does well for the adventure and all that kind of stuff. The conventions I would like to go to this next year is I'm gonna be in Edmonton for Edmonton Expo as a vendor, which is cool. I'm gonna be doing some art stuff there in September, late September. And then next year, I would like to attend Gen Con, either helping Ella out with her, if she gets in as a vendor for Blackwood Dice, or just as an attendee. And then I'd also like to go to TwitchCon next year as a artist, because I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know there was a TwitchCon, an artist alley at TwitchCon. I had no idea. Nope. Zero clue. That completely blindsided me until I talked to a friend who's literally an artist on Twitch, and she is like, "Oh yeah, are you gonna be at TwitchCon?" And I was like, "No, I'm not a big enough streamer to go to TwitchCon." And she's like, "Yeah, but you're an artist, right? Like she's like, you're about the same size as me." I was like, "Yeah." You do like a meetup there or something? She's like, "No, I sell prints." I'm like, "There's an artist alley there?" She's like, "Yeah, you have to be a Twitch artist, but there's an artist alley. It's kind of like off to the side, but it's there." That totally blew my mind. I didn't know. And that completely took me by surprise. So I'm gonna try and get into TwitchCon next year, which is in a couple weeks now, and in San Diego, I think it is, every year, I believe. So that's cool. I always want to see San Diego. You know, go to the Navy base and look around and be like, "Hey, that's Coronado, neat," and then go to the zoo and go home. So I want to do Gen Con next year as either helping Ella as a vendor or as an attendee, and then I want to do TwitchCon if I can as well. So those are the 2 big conventions. And then also Ella kind of wants to try and get into Fan Expo Vancouver as a vendor, so I might be able to do something there as an artist as well, you know. Where was I? It's actually pretty poggers and if they enjoy the game. Dude, that is. Are you kidding? Thorkin, if they're coming back, bro. Yeah, that's actually sick. As a 5'7" woman, I confirm the average height of an American woman is not 5'7". Yeah, apparently. I didn't know. I thought people were a lot taller than they want to be. I didn't know. I was completely blindsided, you know. I mean, I've only ever dated or had one significant other, and she's always been taller than me, so maybe that blinded my perspective of the average height of women. I'm just not looking, if that makes sense. Also, I get accused of drawing very tall people whenever I draw a character, you know. I had a person actually complain about it once. They were like, hey, you know I'm not tall, right? I was like, what? Like, yeah, my character's only like 5'5". I was like, okay. Like, yeah, so I don't think she'd be as tall as you just drew her. Does she look tall in the art? Like, oh yeah. It's like, oh, she kind of does. That's right. Okay. Oof. All right, I gotta fix that. Thank you for that. So I had to redo a commission after about 5 hours in. That kind of sucked, but I learned my lesson. Ask how tall characters are before the commission starts. So she wants to be like, you guys are soldiers in the guild. Go hunt a Rathian. Come back. No real narrative, just exploration and content. I think that's great. I think Owner would really dig old school D&D, you know? There is Thorkin. I didn't know about that. It was actually Lack that that told me about it. Yeah, she told me about it. I was at the convention that I met her with her and Koi, and I didn't know. I didn't know that you could be an artist at TwitchCon. I've never heard about it. Never heard anybody talk about TwitchCon art or whatever. But I think it'd be fun because I always wanted to go to TwitchCon, but I wanted to wait until I was a partner to go to TwitchCon because I feel like that's the only way you can be relevant at TwitchCon is if you have a partner badge. But maybe I'll just go anyway, just have fun or whatever. Game plan. All right, Atari, have a good flight. Be well, my friend. Stare at that tray. Eat those bad airplane peanuts, and I don't know. Be good, my friend. Talk to you later. Date a girl with 6'3" once. That's insane. That'd be a bit. Maybe that'd be. I don't think that'd be too tall for me. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard when people say things like that. Like, what's the maximum or minimum height that you would go for in a girl, Evan? And it's like, I don't know because I've only like I quantified that as just L. You know, like, you know, people say that stuff like that, like minimum this or maximum that. I'm like, I don't fucking know, dude. I've only, you know, I don't, because I never had to think about dating. I never had to think about like, right? Like any of that stuff, like preferences or whatever. My preference is Ella. That's it. That's the preference. It's just my, but it's like, well, how tall do you like, how tall do you prefer women you date, Evan, to be? Ella. Do you prefer blondes or brunettes? Ella. Yeah. I just legitimately have no preference because I never had to think about it. Just Ella. I have a brother who's 6'5". Most of my friends are 6'3", 6'0 to 6'3" range. You got a tall family. Holy shit. Granted, most of my friends are guys, and the only female friend is an Asian, and she's like 5 even, I think. Yeah, I've had some very, very short friends in my time, especially at art school, but it's always kind of weird. I don't know. I don't know why. I can't imagine being that short. But then again, I always feel short at like 5'9", 5'10", 5'11", that kind of range. I always feel, but it's probably not short. It's probably like pretty, like the only time I do actually feel tall, ironically, is when I go to Japan. Like anytime I go to Japan, I'm like, oh shit, I'm actually kind of tall. Because like, you know, the whole stereotype of like, oh, Japanese dudes are so tall or so tiny. Like it's not true necessarily. There, you still see guys that are pretty tall there, but the average like middle-aged person in Japan, you know, like I'll look over the crowd or whatever when we're on the train or whatever, which is kind of nice. Then I feel tall for a little bit. But I also, because the last time I was in Japan, I was like probably 100 pounds almost heavier than I was now. So I was, no matter where I went in Japan, the fattest person that I saw, which was kind of funny. Probably still would be, even though I'm down quite a bit. So I don't know. I miss Japan. I want to go back sometime soon if I can. Maybe do a couple live streams there or whatever. She wore heels on the date. I loved her forever. Yeah, Ella wore heels at our wedding. She towered over me at our wedding, and people were snickering and stuff about it. I don't know. I thought it was fine. I thought she looked really good. You know, I didn't mind she wore her nice big tall heels, and then we were dancing. She took her shoes off, and we could actually dance properly and stuff. So I've never minded that Ella's taller than me. It's always never really been an issue. You know, some people, it's a big deal to some people. I don't know. All right, so we got to talk about Gen Con today. We got to talk about I gotta do a new environment concept piece for a Patreon thing. We got to talk about the Summer Fitness Challenge, which is concluded, which is awesome. You guys crushed it. And then we got to talk about there's like, oh yeah. So this weekend, Prince Store's coming back. I'm really excited about that. Prince Store's coming back this weekend. I'm very excited about that. It's not like the biggest thing for me, you know. Obviously, it's not like as big as Twitch or Patreon or whatever for me. It's not like I'm Ross drawing it, Ross drawsing it every day or every week in monthly sales or anything like that. But the print store is the thing that makes me feel like the most official of an artist. So I'm really excited for that to come back and to be easier on me and easier on everyone else, because I found a couple of ways to make things less expensive on me, which then means it's less expensive for everyone who buys shit from the print store, which is awesome because I always felt bad about how much I had to charge for paper and stuff. But I was legitimately paying $10 to $15 a sheet of paper for the really high-end gallery 300 GSM cotton fiber, whatever. And I found a solution, and I'm very happy about it. I'm very pleased. So I can lower the price without sacrificing quality, which was the whole idea when you start doing an endeavor like that. As it grows and as you scale it, you can get better prices on things. So I'm very excited to relaunch the print store. It'll also have a place for all of the badges and everything like that. And I've got the Summer Fitness Challenge badges up there. The print store, if you go there right now, it's not finished. It's like still under construction because Ella hasn't pushed all the whatever. So don't bother with it right now. I'm not making the official announcement. But tomorrow it'll be officially up and whatever. And I'm very looking forward to that. Today though, we got some shit to do. We gotta draw our D&D world a little bit. All right, because like last time I drew anything from Eldar, it was this. Whoops. It was this shrine, which we need to do some more. We need to do some more in-game art for. And I'll be real, I didn't do much art over the weekend because I was busy with family. I do tell family we're German, Irish, and Panamanian. Wait, what the heck does that mean? I've never heard that term for background. I'll be not the shortest person in my family is my sister, 4 years older than me and an inch shorter. That's incredible. Yeah, some families are. I feel like I know a lot of people like that, where the entire family is like above 6 feet or whatever, or the short member of the family is like 5'10" or whatever. Panama has been. Oh, Panama. Okay, all right, Panama. Ian, that makes sense. All right, fair enough. I have friends from Panama. I've never heard them say that though before. Panamanian, I guess that's how you classify yourself, as from Panama. But I've never heard anybody say that though. Maybe I have heard them say it out loud. It's just in text it didn't make sense. I don't know. Thank you for the raid. Yo, Pandex, thank you for the raid. What's up, dude? What's up going on, guys? How's it going? What's up, y'all? Good to see y'all. Welcome in here. Thank you for doing the show, Thorcom. Last seen playing TTRPGs. Last seen, oh shit, actually doing TTRPG stuff. I wonder if I should stream the tabletop category to the D&D category. I don't know. I've been thinking about that recently. But thank you for the raid. I hope you had a great stream. Welcome in, everybody. Good to see y'all. What's up? What's up, guys? Good to see y'all. We're doing some D&D discussion and art today. We're gonna talk about Gen Con, some new change stuff and some adventure planning stuff that I wanted to talk about whilst we plan a new little area, a shrine that I need to design for the new world, as it were. So the RPG category is kind of dead often. Yeah, but I don't know, because honestly, I've been feeling like this recently, that I should be writing the adventure for... So I'm writing an adventure right now, and I'm writing for 5e. But I've been wondering if a system agnostic sort of general RPG without stats would be better. I think I want to market, like, relatively, air quotes, market the RPG, the adventure, as with mechanics for D&D, but system agnostic, if that makes sense. Right? I don't know. I've been thinking about that a lot recently, especially with the WotC drama and people being upset with the new changes or whatever. Prepping upcoming Daggerheart session. I want to try Daggerheart. There's a couple of systems I'm excited for. Daggerheart's one of them. I'm excited for Daggerheart. I'm excited for the MCDM system as well. I think that's going to be cool. I'm looking forward to that. I did not back it because I didn't have the cash flow at the time, but I'm very excited when it comes out. I'm going to try and pick up the book for it, as well as Daggerheart. Daggerheart's not fully out yet, though, is it? It's just like they released the beta or the test version or whatever. Like it's not a formal release yet, right? It looks cool though. I'm excited to try it. I feel like I need to jump into somebody's game before I actually run a game myself. But just doing just chatting, I can't do it in just chat. Are you kidding? Oh, do it in just chat. Oh my god, could you imagine, Ashley? Could you imagine? What would be worse, if I streamed in just chatting or art? Just chatting or art? Holy shit. No playtest 125 is released. Will be no public update until releases in 2025. I see. Okay. All right. It's not bad. Big long playtest or whatever. That's cool. Beta, if I recall. Yeah. MCM looks good too. Coville's master of weird mechanics and stuff. I think that Coville is going to hopefully add in some of the wargaming stuff. Because I think that Matt, I could be wrong. I think Matt Coville's most controversial take is that D&D is a war game first and not a collective storytelling game. It's just and people get mad about that because they hear that and they're like, but I like storytelling in D&D. And it's like, whoa. I don't think he ever says that you can't do storytelling in D&D, but just the game aspect of it. It's like if you role play in World of Warcraft saying that World of Warcraft is a collective storytelling game, right? It's like, it's not. It's a massively multiplayer online role-playing game, right? It's a combat game. It's a RPG. It's like Final Fantasy 14. But it has robust systems for roleplay built in. But I think it's interesting to keep that hierarchy, right? I think it's important for D&D is to remember that there are people who enjoy the gaming aspect of it and to have places for them for the mechanics, you know, crunchy combat, whatever, adventure-y type people. Because D&D really like kind of catered to the storytelling audience that didn't really want a lot of that or didn't use a lot of that. I think it's kind of interesting that the way Wizards approached it, in my opinion, is they said because people don't really want it all that much, or will use it, we're going to remove it. And I'm like, let's not remove it just because people aren't going to use it. Let's keep it in. It's going to be awesome, and people can choose to do whatever they want, right? But maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't know. So I have a feeling that it's named Draw Steel. Okay, Draw Steel then, I guess. Yeah, Draw Steel is going to be a little bit more rules, mechanics, wargaming, crunchier, and I'm looking forward to that. So, Strongholds and Followers stuff. He's very old school. Yeah. Strongholds and Followers are really cool. I think that was a great first like indication of what what a great way of doing it. You make supplements for D&D, and then people get a grasp or a vibe of what you do generally, and then you make your own RPG, and people are like, oh, I like that kind of stuff. I'm probably gonna like this. 14 that have defined rules for RP and people still do it just fine. Exactly. It even has tools for it. It has a lot of tools for it. I'd say Final Fantasy 14 has way more tools and better tools for RP than World of Warcraft. I just don't want to shit on the World of Warcraft RPers because they go hard. Like they go nuts in World of Warcraft. But I think probably if I was gonna RP in an MMO, I think it'd be Final Fantasy 14 easy. Probably Ashy, just because I have a house in Mist now that's still undecorated because I'm not high enough to craft the stuff that I need to craft. And I'm too poor to buy it all. I did get a great deal on one of the refrigerators for our guild hall, though. It's normally about 500,000 gil or 1,000,000 gil or something like that, and I got it for 50,000. So I'm always gonna look for a good sale for things for the house. Take the dog for a little Olympic adventure, so gonna lurk. All right, Guapo, enjoy the streets of Paris in the middle of the Olympics. Hopefully, it's not too busy. I don't know. I wish I could be there for it and see it. Honestly, seeing all these systems makes me want to create my own even more. It's encouraging. It is. I like the end point goal of Eldar has always been and will always be to have its own game. Well, a lot more than that, but TTRPG wise, for the Realms of Eldar to have its own game at some point in time. Okay, hold on. I'm just gonna start sketching here while we yap about this shit so that I have something to keep my hands busy. We're gonna try something kind of dumb here, I think. Kind of dumb, kind of fun. It's gonna be hopefully dope. I just need to, yeah, whatever, fine, it's fine. This is what I love about the hobby lately. The different systems coming up are opening up other ways to play, like MCDM Draw Steel be a war game, whereas Crit Roll Dagger Heart is story based, and I think it's great. You know, I think there is one sort of system to rule them all, the possibility of that, you know. I feel like there exists a potential for the perfect system, and you know, some people say like there is no perfect system, you can't do it, it's not, doesn't exist, it's not, that's not the way D&D and RPGs work, and it shouldn't be. You can play your games in whatever way you want to and whatnot, but I really think that there's something that could capture for me what happened in 3.5, where I'm not sure if that came over on Discord, but L's computer is on. Apparently the sound is on. Hold on. Alright, we're good. I heard her Discord notification through my through her computer, which I thought was off. Oh, it definitely isn't off. Okay, well, that's new. That's great. Whoops. Anyway, yeah, I think this is a system that can incorporate RP and combat in a way that 3.5 made me feel like it had. And I'm not sure how to do it, but I think it exists. I was commented that they really like 4A because it respects the fun that, or sorry, the fact that it's a game. Yeah, I think that's important for D&D. You know, I think there's a lot of people who have sort of taken the crazed route of, oh my god, D&D, it's supposed to be a game for the neckbeard whatever nerds, and I'm not that, so I need it to not have any mechanics in it. And I'm like, what are you talking about, bro? D&D with no mechanics? What about people who like the mechanics, who like the idea of, you know, a system with a little bit of crunch to it? Not obviously nothing that's so ridiculous, like nothing that gives you BattleTech vibes. But it's one of my problems with a lot of D6 systems. I find a lot of D6 systems are them trying to cater to the crowd of people that seem to not like D&D mechanics whatsoever, and just don't want to deal with a mechanic at any point in time. You know what I mean? But I feel like there's been a bit of a resurgence, and it could be, why do you guys think that is? Why do you think that there has been a resurgence of respect for mechanics and gameplay? Are people just exhausted from the overly like story focused sort of vibe? Or do you think it's more that it's like people are just, those people are sort of out of the hobby now? There's not as many individuals that are super story focused, super, you know, collective storytelling, critical role watching enjoyers, and it's like the people who still remain are the crunchier players that like the game for what it was. The people who sort of like were here in before the critical role phase and like the 2020 kind of like D&D ramp up and whatnot. Because I've thought about that a lot recently. So I'm trying to think about how to design a system for people of all varieties of TTRPG experience that has sort of rules and permissions to not use those rules, if that makes sense. So excited to play His Majesty the Worm for my next RPG. Tarot RPG that has 4 mechanical phases. Wait, what? A tarot? How does a tarot RPG work, Samurai? Many Group recently started a homebrew adventure in Waterdeep where we're basically overthrowing the guild governance and establishing a magical America because we're bitter about taxes in the city. That's beautiful. I love that. Yeah, wait, that's sick. I love everything about that. That's fantastic. I haven't played in like a WotC setting in a long time, like Waterdeep or any of those kind of places. Playing Baldur's Gate 3 really did make me kind of not yearn for it, but like remember the good old days when I would build my homebrew stuff within WotC sort of storytelling, you know? And made me kind of like reminisce for it, I guess. Or yeah. Not really miss it, or not. I'm not like, maybe fondly remember the nostalgia of it. Not enough that I would actually write any adventures for that setting because I'm trying to work so hard in Eldar right now. But it made me at least like have a moment, you know, a little moment of nostalgic love for the origins of where I came from in D&D. Dear God, a coworker kept talking about it. I couldn't tell you how much fun I had with the Eldar game event. That's amazing, Mel. I'm making some badges for people who play in the playtest game, and I originally was going to be for just people who played in my playtest games, but I think that I want to extend it out to everyone who played in Atari's playtest games as well. I think it'd be kind of fun to have that like that badge of recognition for people who did it. So when the print store comes back online tomorrow, it should be relaunching. I'm gonna have some secret storefront things to be able to get like badges and rewards and stuff out of people. And so I'll make sure I send you a link to it. So if you want to order your little badge, which is, I say the term order, but it's free. It's just, it has to go through the print store ordering system so that I know where to fucking mail it. And I'm really excited about that system. But regardless, I need to make something that hopefully recognizes you and other players for being the original testers and people who really jumped in early on the game and helped test it out and help form the adventure as it is. So I hope you had the best fucking time. I'm curious what kind of character you created, Mel. If you don't mind me sharing a little bit about it, you don't have to go like super deep, but I'm curious about what kind of what like, because these are all canon characters in Eldara now, dude. What's up, Fallen? It's going well, my friend. It's good to see you. If draw steel is easy to onboard, it could be the one system because it's fast paced with failing forward built into it, and people can RP in the game as long as they're willing to try. You think that's the one to do it? Because I'd be more than happy to see it be the one. Like, Coville can be the kingmaker. It's fine. Definitely story focused. Yeah, it's totally fine. You know, I think that's a great way of playing it. Future rules like game that I'm excited to eventually play is Mork Borg. It says Pirate Borg. I've heard about Mork Borg. I guess my character is a bald eagle Aarakocra gunslinger marine veteran named Boston. And yes, I do intend to officially kick off the revolution by throwing tea into the water. That's amazing. Is that, like, is there going to be some sort of Semper Fidelis or Semper Supra? Like you have to put a Space Force joke in there. Like, when I'm on the ground, I'm Semper Fi. When I'm in the air, I'm Semper Supra. You know, just put a little bit of love to the Space Force. That sounds dope. I love that. That's fucking sick. That sounds like a great game. I'm legitimately enthusiastic for your game. I want to hear all about it. That'd be awesome. I was a monk and beat the shit out of animals. What? You guys went to the Hamlet, right? Where were there animals to beat the shit out of at the Hamlet? Wait, what? I'm confused. I know Atari made a lot of changes because Atari doesn't have the full Horizon quest. Atari just has the like starter edition of one of the side quests that I gave him, and he based an adventure off of that. So I can't even take credit for all the good stuff that's in the adventure, to be honest. It's all a lot of that was Atari's own homebrewing. Probably most of it anyway. But where were there animals? Where did you put animals in for you to beat the crap out of? I'm confused. I think people need a 5e to give them room to learn the story, to storytell, and after being inspired to have things like Critical Role, because 5e is so bare bones, you kind of have to roleplay. But I think people are now taking that experience to other systems and realizing it still works. Ashley, I want to know your opinion on this, because I think you're right. I want to know, like, if you can, I'm not asking for a yes or no answer, but a yes or no answer would be actually wicked. If it's too complicated though. Do you think that the 5e 2024 rules changes are overall damaging? And actually, I'm curious about everybody's opinion on this. Do you guys think that the 5e 2024 rules changes are overall good or bad for the WotC brand and the growth of D&D? In that, I mean that, do you think they're overall damaging for people getting into playing and excited about D&D, or do you think that they are overall good and going to assist the hobby? Because I've got my opinions, man. I think it might be damaging, to be honest. I think that a lot of it is confusing and weird and whatever, and I could if you wanted me to make a case for how it'd be good, I could. But personally, I feel like it's a mistake. I really feel like messing with those mechanics and systems that WotC's already built up for the new players, I think you're just going to confuse. You're going to like lose a lot of people who were sort of like midway into learning D&D, and they're going to be like, oh shit, there's like changes in this, I don't want to learn any of that. And either they won't engage with it, or they'll actively be off-put by it. You know what I mean? What's good, Garthen? What's up, homie? The only game I played in while at Gen Con. I can't imagine going to a convention to play a game for hours like that. It'd be so, I don't know, it's so foreign to me. I like the concept of it the more I think about it, but I know that's what Gen Con originated as, people playing like games and stuff. Now it's like mostly like a big just like TTRPG fan convention, but maybe it'd be kind of fun. I don't know. Go to Gen Con, play some games, do whatever. See, as far as getting people into the system and getting people into D&D, I don't know, dude. I'm thinking about this a lot, actually. I probably was asked to guard a bunch of supplies, telling the town to get to another town, and there were dinosaur beasts who attacked us. I see. Okay, that makes sense then. I don't think it'll help them. I should have been 16 on a revamp of 5e. Yeah, I think so as well. I think they should have released a new edition of D&D and not a clarification of rules for an existing edition of D&D. But obviously, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not WotC. I don't have their marketing mind and experience and degrees, but I totally agree. I think it should have been a 6th edition. If they were going to make us buy new books, it should be in a new edition. I will let you know the story develops. So far, Boston and her young... That's amazing. Boston and her younger brother, Baltimore. I love American Revolutionary history, by the way. Like, I love this. I'm a Canadian. I have a deep passion for Revolutionary era history. You know, Founding Fathers stuff. You know, Freemasons, all that kind of shit. I love all that. I love American history. So I'm invested here. Boston, her younger brother, Baltimore, a gunsmith artificer played by my best friend, basically reverse hold up the group of halfling thieves who tried to steal from their shop because one of the halflings tried to threaten me with a hand crossbow. I immediately pulled out 2 revolvers and Uno reversed him. That's hilarious. That's actually hilarious. I love that. It's giving me like subtle BioShock vibes. The idea of playing like BioShock Infinite vibes of playing the idea of playing sort of American history themed D&D game, and I honestly really dig it. The rules in and of themselves seem good. They feel like smooth out a lot of mechanics. But to your point, if someone new is exposed to 5e and 5.5, they'll be too confused. I think so, right? Too many conflicting concepts. Yeah. I was going to talk to TTRPG distribution companies. They want to talk, and I get some material made. Oh, that's sick, dude. Hell yeah. Yeah, I'm excited to go to Gen Con. First time. Probably won't play any games. I'll be too busy, but I'll probably run a game when I'm there. Okay, 2024 rules do a great job of trying to fix all the problems in base 5e, but I think that's the problem. 5e as a poorly designed open source, open engine system. 5e was Skyrim, and now they're trying to turn 5e into a well-polished, well-refined, balanced game while still saying the creation engine. Ooh, that's a good point. Yeah, it's like the engine itself is the flawed experience, you know? Yeah, totally. I can see that. There's like a necessity for a new edition. I wonder why they didn't. Like, they must have thought that the changes they were introducing weren't big enough that they would be able to sell it as a new edition. They thought people would be mad. People would just say, like, this is a reskinned 5e, you know? But I think that people are more accepting of other systems. Obviously, other people agree, like Critical Role and Coville both decided that now was the time for them to sort of visit the idea of doing their own system, which is cool. Personally, I think that the OGL drama was a bit of a blunder for a lot of small system creators, and mostly their communities, not them. I think people really didn't they really dropped the ball with the amazing opportunity. They had so many eyes on them, people willing to look at a different system. And instead of saying, come look at our cool system, we are a bunch of cool people that do cool RPG things, they said, hey, if you don't like D&D, you'll like our system. And you can't market with negativity, I don't think. You can't sustainably market with negativity. You have to market with positivity. You have to talk about what things that you do that are really cool and the reasons why people will love your stuff, as opposed to how you're not Wizards or not D&D. You can't market people like that. They do not give a shit as much as you'd think, because it's painful for a lot of people. The OGL, you need to treat the people that were coming over as refugees, right? This is something that Final Fantasy XIV did really well when World of Warcraft had its problems, and a lot of people switched over or were willing to try 14. The 14 community was super welcoming, and they're like super excited. Mostly, there are a lot of like negative, grumbly people that did the community did a fairly good job of silencing. But for the most part, most Final Fantasy XIV players were like, hey man, you willing to come over and try our game? Oh, you're gonna have so much fun, bro. We're gonna make you a cool character. You're gonna go on an adventure. You're gonna fall in love with the Scions. It's gonna be great. We're gonna go to the Golden Saucer. Heaven's Ward's gonna be awesome. And people were very excited about it. And I think that was really important for 14, is to have the community that was welcoming. I think that a lot of smaller RPGs, TTRPGs, did not do that, right? Like imagine if 14 was just like, you have these like sort of neckbeards that were just like, heh, all right, I guess if you're finally deciding that you're willing to try a different game, you're ready to play a real game, heh, yep, because WoW is for losers. You don't want to be a loser, do you? You can't do that with people because they still love Warcraft at the time. It was very painful. And there was a lot of sympathy in the 14 community. They're like, hey man, I'm so sorry that your game isn't like what you want it to be. That's okay. Come try our game. It's going to be fucking dope. We're going to have a spot for you at the table. Hopefully you'll have the most fun ever. There's like sympathy in there, and you have to be sympathetic with people who are losing something they love. I think the OGL drama did that very poorly. Down south of Gen Con, half my friend group got COVID. See, that's what I'm not excited about for conventions. I do not like being sick. Not that anyone does. I don't like being sick more than I think almost anybody I've ever met. And I kind of don't want to go to a convention. Like, being a vendor is one thing, so I'm not interacting with a ton of people. And I'm like relentlessly and furiously Purelling my hands every time I fucking touch anybody. Or anything really that anybody else has touched. But, then you have the distance of the table and whatever in general, and I definitely don't like getting sick. When I get sick, I get very, very, very sick. I don't just get colds, man. When I get sick, I go like to death's door. It's not like, I don't know what it's like to have a small cold. Obviously COVID's not a small cold, so that fucking sucks for your friends. I'm sorry to hear that, but that's what I worry about with these conventions, 2024 rules implementation is terrible but necessary. They should have been dropping these fixes ages ago over time, and I think they tried to do that in Tasha's, but evidence people can't be forced to take on a new rules or book, especially when those things are $50. Should have been dropping micro patches, which I think is the design intent of 2024. Right? Yeah, I agree. Yep, totally. You had to patch the game like a video game dev. Yep. They didn't because they're cowards. And the moment they announced the new PHP, people thought it was 6 ed, and the backlash was massive. Yeah, I think that it's more harm than good at this point. But they're committed at this point. But I honestly do believe that as well. I think it's more harm than good. The new changes. Yep, I think you're entirely right about that, Ashley. Harsh because the new books were originally no OGL. Yeah. There's still a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth. I wonder how many people don't know the OGL issue resolved, right? Because, like, I think about, like, again, I'm going to use the Blizzard example because it's fresh in my mind because I'm just talking about Warcraft. Remember when Blizzard had their, like, scandal? That scandal? People were not happy about it. And there's a lot of people who, like, would shit talk me because they're like, oh, what are you doing, man? I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go play some Warcraft this week. And they're like, you're playing Warcraft? I'm like, yeah. They're like, but the studio is full of scumbags. You're like, what are you talking about? The studio. Didn't you hear about all the allegations? I'm like, oh yeah, they got rid of all those people. It's fine. It's all good now. Yeah, they're all gone. Except for the guy at the top who's a goblin, but you can't get rid of him anyway. But like all the devs, they're all awesome. Yeah, they're cool. I know a lot of them. Yeah, I got friends in the WoW team. They're like, but like they didn't know that like the issue got resolved. They hear the headline of like thing bad and like then bad forever. I wonder if there's people like that with the OGL that never knew or heard that WotC walked it back or crawled it back, depending on how you want to look at it. You know what I mean? Like I wonder if there's a lot of people like that won't give it a chance because, which you can't blame. I don't blame people for that ever. If a company or an individual or whatever loses your trust, like I like whatever, I'm not gonna try and convince you otherwise, Or like when Square did their whole like NFT gaming thing, and people are like, well, I'm not playing the Square Enix game forever. And you're like, okay, that's fine. Like, you know, it's probably not going to be that big of a deal. They did walk it back and whatever. And if you're mad about it and you don't want to play or engage with the game anymore or the company anymore, like, that's totally fine. I understand. Or Pokemon after the Scarlet and Violet disaster of release, you know. Apparently the DLCs are really good. I haven't bought the DLCs because they're $40 fucking. But I desperately want to. And apparently they're way better than Scarlet and Violet base. You know, it's like, I always wondered about like negativity and first impressions and things like that, you know. Partially because the new books were originally OGL. My favorite story will always be the guys from Penny Arcade talking to the 5e devs, and the artist went, I'm a huge 4e fan. What's in for 5e players like me? I'm so excited to see what you guys do to Avenger, and the devs were actually stunlocked and had no answer. That's yeah, okay. That's so tragic. I can't even empathize. It's so tragic. Because I was a big Avengers fan too. Not like the Avengers, but Avenger. Fan of Avenger characters, you know what I mean? It was like what a Ret Paladin should be. Thankfully, I didn't get it because I wore a mask the entire time inside the building and had hand sanitizers the entire time. Yeah, I don't know. I think I might have to mask up for conventions going forward. I might mask up for Edmonton. I feel like it puts some people off when you're working in a booth. It's like maybe negative. I don't know, but I thought about it. Hopefully, I don't catch anything in September because I'll be going away to see Ella's family right after, which is very unfortunate timing that I wish we could have avoided, but that's fine. Whatever. You do your best. That's all you can do. Well, the reason I think about this so much for like 5e and stuff is because I'm trying to figure out what to do for my own adventure. Right? Like, when is the time? How big of a creator do I have to be for people to be willing to sign up for the Eldara adventure? Realistically, I think that if it's a system, like, I think I need to make Horizon for 5e, and I need to make the first adventure Kickstarter for 5e, and then maybe like 1 or 2 more. And if there's enough of an audience, people that like the story and everything like that, then I can move to the Eldara system, you know. And that's kind of my feelings about it. If I was just working on one color so much that it messes up your color vision for a few minutes when you look away. I've been staring at pink for so long. Yeah, that's yeah, I relate. Before I started streaming on Twitch through my 20s, I basically spent all my time as a graphic designer and branding monkey. And when you're thinking about color palettes in such a basic way, like color palettes for graphic design have to be so basic but elegant and like well thought out. You end up staring at large blocks of color a lot more than when you're like painting, and yeah, that would mess you up. That and any sort of typography. It's like when you see you can see the, like, if an artist or like a designer, sorry, not an artist, if a designer does something for too long and doesn't look away from it and doesn't take a break, the typography, you're like, ooh, you didn't look away, and that, you know, you saw the text in there, but there's no text in there, bro. Nobody can read that shit, right? Or like that color combination, that block of color is a little too sassy. Like, I don't know what you were doing. It's like obvious when you can when somebody needs to like take a break from it or whatever and didn't. So I understand that very deeply. It's very personal. And I have a goal to work on my idea for an agnostic sandbox world to offer the distributor. Look, I wonder if that's the best way to do it. okay, I would prefer to write a system agnostic adventure entirely. The reason why I'm making it a 5e adventure is because of the vast amount of people that I have sort of polled that have come back saying that the thing that they like about like D&D content creators or D&D designers or like TTRPG whatever is they say like, oh, I love reading like the new stats and monsters and magic items and stuff. And I'm kind of like, oh, so like a system agnostic story based system would not be interesting to you then, would it? And they're like, nah, no, I want the chunky stuff to get into. I want the new monsters, new mechanics, new whatever. And that's sort of kind of like maybe go, oh, if I want to hit the widest audience, I'm not big enough to do system agnostic yet. But ultimately, like if I could just write adventures and write stories and make art and stuff for them and instructions on how to sort of progress through it, that'd be the dream for me. I do like making mechanics, but it's not a passion of mine. I will probably outsource it to somebody who's better at the actual mechanics at some point in time. Like if the Kickstarter event like does well enough and I can afford to pay like Thorkin or somebody to say like, hey, could you do all the mechanics for all my monsters? I want the boss to have this ability. I want the monsters to be this kind of fight. Can you balance all these things, make all this shit good? Like can we do this? And then I don't have to worry about that. I can just write the things that I want to write and draw the things I want to draw. I also get a little bit offended. I know I shouldn't. And I never say anything about it. I also get a little bit offended whenever I say I'm making an adventure and people ask me, oh, who's writing it for you? Well, I am. And they're always like, oh, really? Why? What do you mean, why? They're like, but you're an artist. So? You know, like I used to get a lot of when D&D was really exploding on Twitch in 2021, 22. I would get a request every probably other week for somebody who is making their own adventure. And they're like, hey, do you want to do a collab? Like, I'll write the adventure, you do the art. I'm like, so you're asking me to do the art for your adventure, basically, for free and call it a collab. And I never wanted to be rude, so I never actually said this out loud to anybody, but I was always kind of like, why do I need you to write the adventure for me? This sounds like you're getting all the benefit, and I'm not really getting any benefit from this. That's what it sounds like to me. Sounds like you're getting a really great fucking deal, and I'm not getting basically anything out of this. What's with that? But I would like to remove the mechanics side of things. Like what I'd love to do eventually is I'd love to have, if let's just say the dream comes true and the Kickstarter is well enough and people are playing the game and whatnot, I love to have somebody make mechanics for the adventure so you can play the adventure. You know how you like see a video game come out on like PlayStation, PC, and Xbox or Switch or whatever? I'd love to say that the adventure is coming out on D&D 5th edition and Pathfinder and like maybe another system or whatever, so that you can play it on whatever system you want to play it for the big ones, and then have a system agnostic version without the mechanics that you can sort of like parse through. That's what I'd love to do eventually. Because I don't have any like loyalty to D&D. I just think D&D is the best system for what I want right now. But I use D&D to build Eldara. I don't build Eldara for D&D. That's always a distinction I try and make clear to people who are wondering more about sort of what my end game is in all of this. It's gone almost immediately after saying hello. So what are you doing, making a system or an adventure? Right now I'm making an adventure, Fallen, but eventually I do want to make a system. But I don't think I'm a big enough creator for people to take a leap of faith on the system, right? Like even MCDM had to build themselves, it's not just Coville there, up quite a bit before they thought they could sell a system to the general TTRPG audience. But I would like to eventually make a system. I've wanted to for, at this point, decades, literally. Also, is awake now and says you're invited to the Monster Hunter D&D. No clue on a when yet. If I am not swamped with work, I will be there. Tell her I will fucking be there. I draw and write and do both. What do you mean? Who's writing it? That's how I always feel like, you know. I don't know why. I don't know why people like make that assumption, but occasionally people will say that. They'll be like, who's writing your system for you, or who's writing your adventure for you? I'm like, what the fuck? It's not like you pick one or the other. Like, you can't write. I mean, I don't know if I'm the greatest writer out there, but someone would have to be exceedingly proficient for me to leave it in their hands and just take care of the art. And we'd have to sort of get along with how to write an adventure almost entirely before I'd be willing to do that. Before I'd be willing to sort of sacrifice control of the story or how it works out or whatever. So there's a specific story I want to tell right now, and I feel like I need to kind of be a little pig-headed about it and insistently tell that story, at least at the beginning, and then be able to grow from there. You know what I mean? Mechanics, stuff like that is one of my favorite things to do. I don't know why, but it's a fun process. It is a fun process. I like it too. It's just there's a lot of pressure when you're balancing for people playing the game that's outside of your D&D group. That's why I would want somebody who's more experienced with it. And not experienced, but who's more passionate about it. Because for me, mechanics are a means to an end. And a thing that I balance on the fly. Right? It's not something that I necessarily spend all my time doing before my game prep every week. Like, I'll build my mechanics for the encounter, for whatever, and then if I misbalance anything, I can fix that like on the fly while we're playing. But you can't do that when you publish something, so you could patch it, I guess. But Dungeon Master's been encouraging me to start writing on our campaign that I have an idea for. I'm considering it. Do it. But I want to have more experience as a player before I really look at being a Dungeon Master, so I have the concept written down, but I'm not expanding on it yet. I think that's a fine concern, but I think that it's very important for taking your first step to just be a bit of a leap. So definitely wait until you feel comfortable, but don't wait too long. I actually started making a system before, but I bit off more than I could chew. So the project has been in ice for a while. Yeah, it's fair. It's a lot. Yep. That's fair. Actually, I had an interesting conversation with a guy at Gen Con who's a big TikTok person for Vampire the Masquerade, and love your input. All right, what you got? What you got? I love Vampire the Masquerade. I don't think I have the like ability to play it in the modern day because I don't have any trench coats or tiny red glasses. But I love VTM players and their community and how passionate they are. And I love the ones that lean into the absurdity and the memes of their game. The self-aware VTM players that can take the piss out of their own game, I think are the best VTM players to play with. The super, like, serious ones that can't, like... I mean, this is true for any TTRPG, but the super serious ones that can't take a joke. When you're like, oh shit, I can't play VTM because I have a trench coat and I don't have a trench coat, fedora, or anime profile picture. And they get mad about that? Nah. They're too serious, man. Can't laugh about it. Nope. Can't do it. Cross the streams. What's up, dude? Thank you for the tier 1 for 27 months. How you been, my friend? What's up? Honored to have you in here today. Good to see you, dude. Good to see you. Holy shit. Only taking leaps. I'm quite literally half blind. Leaping is even scarier for me than it is for most people. That's fair. I think it's about faith in yourself. A little bit of that serotonin-infused hierarchical confidence that you'll be alright is important for creative process, but I don't know. Everybody's different. Everybody moves at their own pace. You got your own journey to consider, and I always respect that. We're kind of doing a Eldara Gate themed portal here. I don't know how we're gonna like do stuff around it, but that seems like a later me problem. I'm just gonna enjoy the process right now. Ellen jokingly hates on VTM players and my stream disconnects. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. It's a sign. It's a sign! I'm building smaller things to inch up to the whole system, like a race here, a subclass there, and stuff like that. Yeah, that's fine. That's a good way of doing it. I think that generally speaking, the best way to build a game, whether we're talking about a video game or a RPG or a TTRPG or whatever, is to make it and make it terrible at the beginning. And it's going to be bad because you don't know what you're doing. Why would it be amazing? but we have this idea that we can't fail at it, or else people will judge us, or like we won't have another chance to. And so you can sort of compartmentalize that a couple of ways. And one of the ways you can sort of rationalize that or reason with that part of your brain that's scared of that is to work your way up in doing things. I think that's a perfectly fine way of doing it. You know, creating things in scope that slowly increase as opposed to it's like, here's my full system right here. That's totally fine. Told him about how I absolutely love VTM because of the narrative storytelling. As I discovered with playing D&D, I don't like combat in it. It is a war game, so that is the core of it, but I love the storytelling. I lean more into VTM. He told me one observation he had seen over the last few years in D&D players was to avoid consequences and how to prevent them. He told me one observation he has seen over the last few years in D&D players is want to avoid consequences and how to prevent them. In Vampire the Masquerade, you don't have a choice and you are forced to explore the consequences. I think that's true. Yeah, I think that's true, but I think that that's a issue of culture. And I think that's more of an issue of culture of D&D players than anything else. And I think that Critical Role has a big part to play in that. And this idea that D&D is sort of like therapy, where you escape to your perfect world because you can't stand not having a house at 34 and your job sucks and you know your prospects are low or whatever, so you play D&D to get away from all these things. Like, you know, it's like the core idea of it being this fun, like boppy, like kind of campy story is a little bit too much investment when you can't take a beating in D&D and still have a good story out of it. You know, there's this like protective sort of don't touch a hair on my players, on my player character's precious little head kind of vibe that a lot of D&D players get, that I think has come out of the new, more narrative D&D player version of it, I guess. That I always have a bit of a problem with, but like whatever, people play their own game. I just don't play with players like that. You know, I don't have anything against them. I just don't play with them. There's nothing wrong with saying that there's a type of D&D player you like to play with or don't like to play with. It's preferential. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. There's lots of players that wouldn't like to play with me, and I'm totally in support of that. I don't have any sort of ego mixed up in it. But I do think that individual is right about the whole D&D issue with a lot of people wanting to avoid. It's like, oh look, the consequences of your actions. It's like kind of a meme, but also kind of true. You know what I mean? Oops. It's gonna be a bit bigger, I think. Want to be called out like that, Evan? Look, it's true, unfortunately, you know? Are you suggesting throw things at the wall until something sticks? That's the best way of practicing, in my opinion. You practice by drawing the entire figure. You don't practice the figure by drawing hands. You draw the entire figure over and over and over again. And you get better at the hands by drawing the whole figure and connecting it all at once. So I think going through the process of it, yeah. It's a different way of putting it, but sure, yeah, why not? The game is far from it. My character just got friend zoned by the one party member she had a crush on. Destroyed her. Well, that's fine. But that's dramatic, and there's lots of drama in there. But there's not really a lot of sort of like narrative suffering, as it were. There's not like any deep storytelling that happens in a lot of D&D games. It's all very theatrical and dramatic, and again, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just what people generally prefer in the modern day D&D concept context. Jesus. Try harder, Evan. Try harder. But I think it's a culture thing. I think the way your DM frames success and failure is very important too. Consequences have to be interesting. They can't just be punishing. People don't want to be punished in D&D. They want things to change and be interesting. It's like something happens in the city and you lose the shopkeeper that you were friends with. Oh no. The punishment of not doing the thing well enough. It's like, that sucks. So add the drama of the shopkeeper dying, right? It's like Obi-Wan Kenobi dying in A New Hope. That's an objectively bad thing that happened to Luke, but like you have to change it, and like the characters, like the character evolved. I'm not saying to bring back characters. I'm just saying that there's ways you can do stuff like that in D&D, that you can have it be that something you know, air quote bad happens to your characters. Well, does the DM make it interesting, or is it just like a punishment? In which case, I think that's people get bored of that and don't want to deal with it. So a lot of it's just like the culture of bad game design from DMs. But I'm not going to shit on DMs and say it's all their fault. It's also a lot to do with, I think, the way the players handle it. BDM turns into a superhero game more often than not. Tongue curly in cheek, it's about the table you put together. The other reason the combat isn't as often as D&D is that the system breaks all editions so far when you pile too much on it while with too many players, but it's never meant to be a war game like D&D start. Yeah, totally. Yep. In group we are quite simple. You fuck up, you deal with the consequences. Yeah, but those consequences have to be interesting. Otherwise, it's just like, ooh, that's lame. Like I fucked up and now I don't have a hand. It's like, okay, like, all right, man, that sucks. I'm like, okay. And surprise, surprise, your players aren't having fun anymore. Someone told me an interesting concept a few years ago, basically, that there are only 3 types of players in DM. Yeah, what are they? Type 1, hack and slash, kick the door and kill the monster, loot the room, rinse and repeat, sometimes referred to as the role player. I see, yes. It's very dice-driven with the character progression beyond stats and skills. Yeah, that's I refer to that as the classic D&D player, the classical way of playing. Type 2 is a mix, a bit of role play and role play, good character development. It's not about the dice. Character 3 have dimensions. Have 3 dimensions, not just a flat sheet. Yeah, that's like it's almost based on editions. It's like that's like the 3rd edition or the third 3.5 edition player. The 5th edition player is the critical role sort of enthusiast that wants their dramatic storytelling moment, where they're going to make everyone sob at the table because they did something so dramatic and interesting, and aren't they the most interesting person in the world? It's very theatric. I'm not a fan of like breaking things down into those sort of like types or whatever, but I think that they're useful when they're done well. I think that's a interesting start. Type 3, the pure role player. Stats and skills are very much secondary to what you say, how you say it, how you describe your character actions, more like you put up the outcome of the situation. This can go such as Amber, where there's no dice involved. Yeah. So it's, I mean, that's fair if you're talking about the classification of how sort of invested people are into mechanics versus roleplay. There's the invested in one, invested in the other, and invested in both. 100%. It's a little tough, though, to try and build a system and a party. Like, you have to, I think the most important thing to do when you, like, sort of realize that kind of reality of D&D players is to find the D&D players that agree with you. Like, you know what, often, Raven, often when somebody comes into my stream and complains, which isn't often anymore, but, like, again, back when 2021, 2022, everyone was at home and everyone was playing D&D, it happened at least once a day. Now it happens, like, maybe once or twice a week. Where somebody will come to my stream and they'll complain about their D&D group or their DM or whatever. And be like, oh my god, my DM is such a bad DM. And I'm like, oh no, you poor soul, you got a bad DM? They're like, yeah, I have a terrible DM. I'm like, oh man, what happened, baby? And then they're like, well, I went to the market and I wanted to find a nice vendor where I could make friends with and then make flower bouquets with them. But my DM wouldn't give me a flower vendor. They said that this was a frontier town. There were no flower vendors. I'm like, oh no. Like, yeah, and we just went back to the dungeon and just you know, everyone got their gear, talked to the blacksmith, got the quest, and we all went back to the dungeon, and then we just fought kobolds for the rest of the night, and I didn't get to tell a story. I'm like, okay. You're like, isn't that a terrible DM? And I'm sitting there thinking, like, it doesn't sound like your DM's terrible. It sounds like you got a mismatched group here. It sounds like you wanted to be in a critical role game, and your DM is like a beer and pretzels, like, classical D&D player, where it's like you get your character sheet, you go and you roll dice and smash things. Like, that doesn't make your DM a bad DM. That doesn't make you a bad player. It means that you shouldn't, like, probably play with D&D with each other. And that's like my go-to remedy for all D&D group drama is don't play with that person. Which is, it's so hilariously and heinously simple that people get so offended by it because they're like, but that's my friend. I'm like, I have plenty of friends I will not play D&D with. Because I'm like, brother, I love you, but we don't play the same kind of D&D. Right? And sometimes it's fun to like try and you know, play a game with them that, you know, like steps you out of your comfort zone. I think the best DMs are the most flexible DMs. If you want to talk about best and worst as a quantifiable quality for DMs. But in addition to that, I think that it's totally fine to like say you like a certain type of D&D and you want to play this type of D&D, and your group or friends or DM don't play that kind of D&D, and you're just going to be kind of upset and unhappy and miserable if you keep trying to force it. Like, yeah, you love your bro, but like they're not playing the kind of D&D you want. And if they're not, then you're just kind of like, one of you has to be flexible, or both of you if you can be, or you're just gonna be upset and disappointed. But people would like mistake that as bad D&D. It's like the old Matt Mercer, the whole Matt Mercer effect. And people are like, my DM doesn't even do voices. They're such a bad DM. I wish I had Matt Mercer. And you're like, you don't have a bad DM, bro. You have a DM that doesn't do voices. Like, it's fine, you know? And you see a lot of that complaining, but I think that a lot of it is just like you said, there's three sort of like, when it comes to roleplay mechanics, there's three main archetypes there. And if you don't match them up, I think that's where the friction comes. That's where the friction comes, dude. Like, of course you're going to be unhappy if you have a group of story-driven, dramatic role players that just want to tell their dramatic story and be theatric, and then you're like, dude, I have so much combat ready, and your players are like, ew, combat? Combat's the thing we do when we failed at good RP, and you're like, oh, I'm playing with a different breed of D&D player than I had built my game for. Got it. Right? I play very different D&D depending on who I'm playing with. The game that I was playing on stream for a while with Fishy before she got a new job and that fucked with our schedule was very RP focused. Fishy doesn't like combat all that much. Now, granted, I think that a good DM can make all parts of the game really fun, and I pride myself on converting RPers into combat enjoyers and combat enjoyers into RP enjoyers. Like, I really pride myself on that being a skill that I try really hard to be good at. And I don't know if I'm good at it yet, but hopefully. And so Fishy enjoyed combat when we did it because I changed it so that it made more sense to her. It wasn't crunchy and clunky. It was very fast and thematic and theatrical and didn't lag too much time, but it was very, very swift and very interesting, hopefully, and she liked it. And that was fun. I think that, again, there's the flexibility, right? So is the game I played with Fishy with Runa and Sabine, is that the type of D&D I enjoyed the most DMing? Not really. But I enjoy playing with Fishy more than I enjoy playing the type of D&D I enjoy the most. Right? And so to me, the compromise is not really that big of a compromise because I'm not sacrificing so much in D&D that I hate the game just to play with a friend. But it seems like a lot of people have to do that, or else they don't really feel like they're getting anywhere with their D&D game. So I always think that it's a mismatch of expectations. Flower Avenger +5, yeah. Really lucky my weekly game is a core of players that have been playing together for 20 years. Streaming from D&D all the way through to LARP, the group is a fit. We bounce off each other in such a fun way. That's awesome. Like, I got a hot take, man. My hottest take in D&D, the thing that nobody likes to hear, that gets me in trouble whenever I say it, is, in my opinion, the number one thing that I have seen that spawns the healthiest, happiest D&D groups all comes down to one quality. And it's not flexibility, it's not, you know, compatibility, it's none of these things. The number one quality that I think determines the health of, mostly the health of every healthy D&D group that I've seen, is friendship outside of D&D. If you're playing with a D&D group that you can't DM and hang out and talk to, that usually is a bad sign. If your D&D group only meets to play D&D and doesn't talk outside of D&D, that's usually a bad sign. If your group is, you know, has a group DM and talks shit, and there's people that have conversations, and so went out to lunch with so-and-so last week, and then these two people are friends outside of it, and they go bowling, and then the whole group meets up once in a while, and if you're not playing D&D that night, you guys are still gonna chill. That's important. But how many times have you been part of a D&D group where it's just like 2 players are like, I'm sick, I can't make it, and the person's like, yeah, I can't make it either, and they're like, okay, cool, we'll see you all next week, and the other 4 members don't still hang out that night? That's like, you know what I mean? But it's hard to find that. It's very hard to find that. And if you've been playing for a long time and you play through different hobbies and you go out and you like LARP together and play D&D together, you play video games or whatever, that's awesome. That's super healthy. That's super productive. That's a group that will last. And I think it's an absolute blessing when you find people like that. It's an absolute blessing. I've wanted for a while to do it like a decade D&D campaign. I want to find a group that I can play D&D with and make my magnum opus of a D&D campaign. The longest D&D campaigns I've ever done were like 5 or 6 years, which are still obscenely long. Like, nerds like to like hike up their suspenders and be like, heh, 5 years, that's nothing. I've played in a game that's 15. You're like, okay, 0.0% over there. Like, I get it. You're 54 and you've worked at the same tech company with the same 3 idiots that you've known since college. Blessings to you. 5 years is a long fucking D&D game. Just because there are longer games out there doesn't mean that 5 years is that 2 years isn't a really long D&D campaign. That's great. That's a great long campaign. But I really want to test my hand at something that's like a decade long game, you know? But I need to find the group first, and it's hard to find that group because you don't recruit for it. You don't audition for it. You have to organically find that group, you know what I mean? But if you find it, it's a blessing most people don't get. So cherish those friends, love them, and yeah, it's fucking sick. We have Snapchat for our group. That's awesome. Yeah, that's really healthy. Happened to where I've been ill as a DM. The group still meets up and chill anyway. Yep. The healthiest D&D group that I've ever been in was when I was in high school and college with my high school friends, because we would hang out every Friday. That's how we did it. We hung out because we got off in Canada where I was growing up. We got off school, I think, at about 1 p.m. on Fridays. We got out early on Friday. I think that's same for a lot of Canada. I think most of America. I think you guys will have a similar experience when you're in high school. But regardless, we got off at 1 or 1:30 p.m. on Fridays, and we would drive. All the friends would get on the bus and they'd all go to my house, and I was the only person with a car, and I would drive to get Ella. Because Ella went to a different school, so our bus would drop her off somewhere, and I'd drive to go pick her up. And then by the time I got home, my friends would already be there, or if Ella and I didn't stop to get snacks or whatever, then we'd get there first and hang out for a little while, and then my friends would arrive, and it'd be awesome because we'd be downstairs, you know, drinking our soda, whatever, and everybody would arrive, and we'd all hang out. And like, if there was a new game out, we'd play the game. And some days we would take a break. It's like, oh, pizza break, let's play Tekken for an hour. And we'd hang out from 2 p.m. ish all the way to 10 p.m. when everyone's parents would come get them. And whether we were playing D&D or not, we were hanging out and having fun. It was a group. And we would often play D&D, but sometimes we would take a break in the middle to play Magic the Gathering for an hour or two, or do whatever. Because we played Magic together, we played D&D together, we played video games together. I had a PS3 and an Xbox, yeah, 360 at the time. I don't remember what came out when I was in high school, university, that era. But regardless, so we play games, we do whatever, and that to me was the best, most healthiest D&D group. And I don't love it when I'm the DM. As the DM, you are the social. You are not automatically, but you have the greatest power to be the social master of the game. You can break the ice the easiest. You can create the social setting the easiest. Players can do that, but DMs, I think, have a unique position where they have a really good position to do that. And thank you, Kellen Raven, for the follow. I appreciate it. I'm honored to have you here, my friend. But if you're the DM, if your group isn't talking, everyone's just silently in Discord waiting for you to get there, I think that's a problem, you know? And I try and kind of like encourage the players to hang out and talk and become friends and whatnot outside of the game, so that, you know, there's more of that bond built up. Because you will tolerate more to play with your friend. You will be more tolerant of a different style of D&D if it's a style with people you love. You know what I mean? 5 years, yeah, you're right, Thorkin. I'm so sick of hearing people saying that 5 years isn't a long D&D campaign. 5 years is a monolithic D&D campaign, right? But I really want to try the decade-long campaign, you know? I started playing D&D and I'm in a West Marches campaign I'm loving so far. So how often do you play? Have you played a West Marches game? Like, are you playing part of the adventure every week, or are you taking breaks and playing whenever you sort of feel like it? Because I wonder if the decade-long D&D game is best done as West Marches. I've been thinking about that too, to be honest. Be very real, I think West Marches might be the way I have to do it. Because the problem is, it's very easy. Like that group also, we were all free on Fridays because we were in fucking high school and college. Like, we didn't have anything to do. It's very hard to get like a bunch of 30-something or 20-something-year-olds to commit to a decade-long D&D campaign. It's very, very difficult. It's a completely different beast when you've got people that are adults and have responsibilities and don't have that bond of friendship from when they were like kids where they will make it work. You know what I mean? So I think West Marches might be the way you have to do it. You sort of decide you're going to run a decade-long D&D campaign, and people can jump in as they sort of see fit. I think that might be the way you have to do it. What's up, Gabby? What's going on, dude? After 4 years, I want a break from DMing. That's when we tend to switch. We might come back to a world after we break. Current game's on 7 years, but we had a 3-year break between story arcs, so it was 4 years. That's a lot. That's a lot, but that's awesome. If you can come back to the game like that, that's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, that's sick. Like, my perspective on how to run the decade-long D&D campaign is kind of... I don't know. I have a theory on it. Tell me if you think my theory is bad. Like, honestly. If I were to run this game most effectively, I think there would have to be sort of... there'd have to be a core cast. A core group of people that you can develop the story around. And you can have somebody jump in for a session or two here and there. You need to have the flexibility so that if you have somebody who signs up on day 1 and is there for 10 years, great. And if you have the flexibility that if you have somebody who comes in on year 3, they can be there till year 7 and then whatever. Or somebody who wants to play 1 or 2 games with you here and there. You have to have the flexibility for that. And I think the way to do it is to have a core group. And for me, that core group would be Ella. Because Ella is the only person I could count on to be at every single D&D game that I run. Ella and NPCs. So you run it as a Mass Effect style game, or let's say you have like the core NPCs. You have Ella and Sabine and Valona and Kalek. Because those are NPCs you guys know. And they are there from day 1 all the way through the campaign. And then if Thorkin jumps in for a year, that's great. And after a year, he's like, uh-oh, I gotta bounce, man. I can't play D&D anymore. It's like, okay, man, that's all good. Like, maybe come back in a little while and then see how the campaign's evolved. Or jump in on a game here and there where you can. You know what I mean? And then the game can persist and progress outside of the independent actions of individual players. The positives are that you don't have to have the pressure of being there all the time. The negatives are that there's sort of like a limit or ceiling on exactly how much importance you as an individual player can play in the story. Because you are part of the Fellowship of the Ring. You're not Harry Potter. I think everyone who wants to plays D&D wants to be a party of Harry Potters, and very few people want to be part of the Fellowship of the Ring. So you have to sort of sell it as, this is like a Mass Effect style game. It's an ensemble cast. Your character will be as central as you are available for. I think that's the way to do it. And then you have sort of an overarching story with these little like miniature sort of like bite-sized things where it's like, and now we're running this part of the campaign and this part of the campaign. Who wants to come for the next 6 months and run this? And who wants to do this for the next 8 months and run this? I think that's the way to do it, to be honest. Once a week, we have people who play once a month. The DM is set up like a pro. He's wanting to run this until he dies, so have new people, and when people drop out, I think that's genius. Yep. Yep, I think that's genius. We schedule different quests each week, and people jump in if they're free. It makes it super chill. Also have downtime, so if you're not adventuring that week, you can still craft magic items to sell or help with the group when it comes back to join. Yeah, I wanted to think of like a way to do like a mini game outside of D&D, because for me, my favorite part of D&D growing up, like young me D&D when I was in high school, was the D&D you played at school in between your D&D sessions, right? Thank you, Snyder Girl, for the follow. I appreciate it. Honored to have you as well, my friend. That was my favorite D&D. So it'd be like, I would be in class, You know, I'd be like in physics, like drawing, I don't know, like hot anime cat girls or some shit or whatever I did in physics class in grade 12. And I'd have like my friend Mary, she would just like slink over to my desk and be like, "Hey, what you doing?" I'm like, "Just drawing hot anime girls. What you doing?" She's like, "So about that random door at the inn that we saw." I was like, "Ah, yes, the door that seemingly led to nowhere because that side of the wall led to the outside." She's like, "Yes. Is there any way before next game I can try and sneak down, open that door?" And I'd like close my book and lean over. I'd be like, "All right, in the middle of the night, you slink down. I need you to do a stealth check." And she'd just have her dice at school. She'd just like roll her d20, and she'd have her fucking character sheet with her too. And she just rolled dice. She's like, "I get a 19. I'm like, "Okay, you don't wake up anybody. The innkeeper is sleeping behind the counter or whatever, and you sneak past him. But the cat sees you. What do you do?" And she's like, "I use some of my rations to try and feed the cat." I'm like, "Okay, great. Make an animal handling check." And we do this entire thing, and she like open the door, and it's like a portal or something that leads somewhere, and she's like, "Okay, I close the door." And like she's like, "I reached my hand through. Is anything?" I'm like, "It feels cool," and like cool air. And she's like, "I put my head through." I'm like, "There's a wintry landscape here, a different world." And she's like, "Oh my god." In the center of it, there's a vase with a rose sticking out of it. The rose is on fire. And she'd be like, "Oh my god, this secret. Holy shit." I close the door and I go back to sleep. And then next time on Friday when we're playing, Mary would like give me this look like we did a thing outside of D&D, didn't we? And I'm like, "You know something the rest of the party doesn't." And then she'd be sneakily kind of like nodding at me like I'm so cool. But what Mary doesn't know is that also John did the same thing on Thursday in English class and saw the same thing. And there's drama now because they both know, but they don't know that they know. They don't even know that their characters know that they know, or that the players don't know that they don't know. I love that about D&D. That was my favorite thing about D&D when we were in high school, is the D&D we played outside of D&D. I think that's absolutely genius. I think it's fantastic. Favorite piece of content is a Dungeon Delve. Just a book of standalone 3 shots. I mean, everybody needs that, I feel like, in their like no DM is too good for that, Ashy. So like so much fun, dude. It was the best. Everyone came to school with their PHBs. Everyone came to school with their dice. It was beautiful. I loved it. Growing Guild is perfect for that. Dragon's Claim needs me to check out a new recruit so I can go with you right now. Yeah, honestly, I think the Dragon's Claim is the way you do it. Like realistically, TDC. I think that you frame it through the Adventures Guild through TDC, and then you have people jumping in and out of the story, and you can kind of keep an updated like sort of chronicle of like what is happening in the story thus far. Which I kind of do that already. I just like if I kept a more official sort of thing for it. Then like Fishy's investigation. So like everything actually connects. So what you're doing in Horizon when you guys play the Horizon game, if you guys choose to play the Horizon game, which I really hope that you guys actually play, it'll be fucking sick. If you play the Horizon game when it comes out, the adventure, in our Discord, in your own little groups, that is canonically happening whilst Runa and Sabine and Valona and Kalek are all doing their adventure. This is also canonically happening while Ella, Jackie, and Limit and Dashto are all doing their adventure. Like, everything is all happening in the same world simultaneously in my mind. So, you know, what I really want is I want Ella to settle on a canonical character that is her go-to character for the long run. And I think she has with Charlotte. Because Ella has Scarlet, her Astral Sage, Charlotte, her Astral Knight, Amelia and Ella were her paladins, but I think Amelia and Ella's stories are pretty much finished. And I think Ella wants to play an Astral Knight or an Astral Sage, and I think she's really enjoying her Astral Knight. So I think her Knight is going to be her canonical character. And then she has Embra, her apprentice, which I have this scuff painting of them that I'm working on right now that I really need to finish. The door, the second biggest enemy of any D&D party. Oh, yeah. The first being the cat. I get private message from my players doing things between sessions. I love that. That's fucking sick. I wish I had that again. Yeah, what a blessing, Kelvin. What I Kelvin or Raven? Because I know what Kelvin is, but I feel like Raven's a better way to nickname you. I don't like to full name people on Twitch. What a blessing, Raven. I think that's amazing. I'm not envious of envy isn't the right term. I'm legitimately happy for you to have a group like that. That's fucking dope. Like, I didn't prep today. Here's a mini arc that covers 2 to 3 sessions. It's like the Dorito of books. Oh my god, you're right. Holy shit, it's the Doritos of D&D game. Oh my. I hate when you're not right, Ashy. You're like ultra right. You're the correctitude is like, it's like the Prinnies collecting Etna's ultra dessert. You are ultra correct. During the game, there's a corridor time where players get pulled out for one-on-ones. Great for seeing info. I love that. Yeah, we used to have that like in my basement. The way we would do it, I loved it more than like Discord, because we would have in basement that we played, we had like another room that was like the laundry room that I'd pull players into. I'm like, okay. You, when we walked in here, you immediately recognized that sarcophagus. My friend Carol would be like, what? Like, you immediately recognize that sarcophagus. And she'd be like, what is it? Like, in the sarcophagus is the same sarcophagi that your order of clerics deposited in the temple across the ocean many years ago. The gilding, the inscriptions, some of the charms, the warding seals, you wrote yourself. And she's like, oh my god. And when you enter the room, I said that you had a headache. She's like, yeah. Like, you hear the voice of the lich sealed in the side. He pulls to you, his presence detecting yours. And he says, it's been decades. But now, my thrall, you have come to free me. And she's like, what? What? And then we'd leave. We'd leave the laundry room. We'd go back to the main room and everybody would be like, what happened? Karen would be like, nothing. I stabbed John on the side. Oh my god. I love that, dude. Yeah, you need to have that kind of the ability to do that. Take people off to the side. 100%. Yep. I definitely want to find that kind of a game again, figure out how to do it on Discord. And I think that I have to like sort of figure out the West Marches style. So I'm pretty sure no matter what game I run, I'm pretty sure Dashto and Ella will be there. I'm pretty sure the two of them will be there for every game. But obviously, you know, Dashto just moved and whatever and work and whatnot. It's hard, you know? And I'm sure Ella will have stuff going on. Ella will never have stuff going on that she won't play D&D instead of. Ella has no social commitment, no friends, no whatever more important than our D&D game. And if it is more important and she has to be there, likely I have to be there too. Like this weekend when family came into town. Besides that, we're good. We're good. Let's play best of me things during a break in the ongoing session. I love that. Let players having all different bits of info and they build suspense themselves that way. The problem is, though, Raven, is your players have to remember that shit. I tried doing that with my current D&D group, and they all, every one of them besides one, well, maybe two, mostly all of them, don't take notes and just got annoyed or frustrated or disappointed because they're like, wait, but didn't I know something about this? I'm like, yes, you did. And like, what did I know? And I'm like, you knew something no one else knew, and you shouldn't be talking about it. It's like, oh shit, wait, yeah, you're right. Ah, fuck, what is the thing that I knew? God damn it. Take notes. But I suppose if you have the implication of playing in a West Marches game, I think that that's kind of there, you know? is that you have to sort of like take notes pretty effectively. And then I'd also need like a party chronicler to like talk about everything that happens during the sessions. So the players that aren't playing but want to play in the future can jump in and can keep up on it, you know? I think that's the important way of doing it. I've been thinking about this a lot recently, so I don't know. All right, I do have to spend an hour on this fucking portal. Christ. This is gonna be a big one. This is gonna be a big piece. Yep. This is gonna be a big one. I gotta just accept that. This piece is gonna be a little bit of an investment, let's say. That's okay. It's better that way. It's what I want. I want to be invested in each piece of art. Oh, I didn't show you guys DJ. I forgot. The character that we were working on last week. Hold up. Let me get it up. We finished it. I was going to show it off during the intro, but I totally forgot. Commissions Kitty DJ. Boom. There she is. The Kitsune Cleric Drake Warden Ranger. DJ. There she is. Boom. Design. Finished. Character done. Painting. Painted. Look at her. She's got all sorts of Drake Warden Ranger-y stuff going on. And a staff to you know what I'm talking about. To I can't pronounce it. Her shillelagh staff. There it is, man. There it is. Probably one of the last color characters that I'm gonna do with like colored in with this way with hatching. I think I'm gonna start painting everything out and not doing this like halfway hatching, halfway sketch, halfway color. I think I'm gonna stop offering it as commissions. I will for a little while longer. Some people really want it, but I'm gonna start doing full paintings, which are gonna take me longer and be more expensive, but whatever. I want to switch out, but this is really fun. This is really cool. I was very happy to do this for Kitty. It was very fun. It was a good piece. So there it is, man. What's up, Koi? What's going on, dude? She's beautiful. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm honored. I'm honored. She was fun. That was a fun piece. Micro players take notes or have an encyclopedic memory. Mrs. Kell has a chronicle keeper, and a Tamori remembers the tiniest details for a decade beforehand. I use dedicated database to record things. That's genius, actually. On Chronicle stuff, you can always record it and send it to me. Getting hell tired of listening to the same music over and over again while I draw. Fair. Fair. Fair enough. Yep. That's actually genius, Thorkin. Shillelagh. Yeah, I always think it's stupid to whatever. The meme is alive with me. But yeah, I finished this character. I should post. I should post it, shouldn't I? I don't want to. I'm too lazy. Did I post it? Twitter's kind of a throwaway anyway for me now. Maybe I just post it and say fuck it. All right, screw it. Let's just do it. Let's do this real quick because I'm gonna keep forgetting. Let's do this one. I think I like this one the most. D&D commission of a Kitsune. Ooh. Kitsune Drake Warden Ranger / Cleric. Drake Warden or Drake Warder? D&D Drake Warden Ranger. It's Drake Warden, right? Yeah, okay, it's Drake Warden. What's up, Ace? What's good, dude? Is it 2 words or 1 word? I think it's 1 word. Oh, whatever. Need a of a Kitsune Drake Warden, Ranger / Cleric. I did this week. What would I say about it? I guess I just post it. Fuck it. Thank you for trusting me with your character, as always. Poggy. Post. All right, there it is. It's on the internet now. It's forever. It's forever. Look at her. That was a fun one. I enjoyed that. That was good shit. Thank you again for that, kitty. What's up, Ghost here? What's going on, dude? You seen? I did see the new WoW cinematic. It was. I thought it was good. I liked it. It was neat. It didn't do much or say much or whatever, progress the story or reveal anything, but I still thought it was cool. Working on the one shot of doing my character, and the character for my next campaign. A one shot you're making, and the character for a campaign you're playing it. Ooh, DMN player. I'm impressed. All right, let's close this. Back to the sketch. Back to the sketch. Back to the gates of Eldara. With all the rocks. And I gotta figure out the scale of this. How big the trees are gonna be going in here. I want to do a water thing as well. We do water. I'll do water. Okay, fuck it. I'll do it after. Or behind, not after. Leave me alone. I'm in artist mode right now. Yeah, I think the West Marches game is the way to do it. Cause like I want to do a game with my mods, right? I've wanted to for a while. I said I would. I said I'd get back into it, but like the only time I can really do a mod game is if I play with them on Saturday mornings. It's the only time that really works out for me and the majority of them. And but I can't commit to that for like a year, but I can commit to it for like 2 months. And so I can have part of the campaign happening that morning. And it's like if some of my other D&D players want to come to that are in the whatever, it's like, sure, man, if you want to make yourself available on Saturday mornings for 2 months, like you're welcome to come. And then if any of the mods want to, or whoever wants to join in on a game on Thursday nights, then like I think that I have to start scheduling the game for what works for me, and then just inviting people that I can play D&D with to those games and for short-term commitments. And if people want to like have the schedule where they're available to jump into those kind of games for long-term, great. And if they aren't, like that's okay too. You know what I mean? I think that's the way I got to do it. I'm pretty sure. I gotta find, does anybody have like a really good video? Does Koval have a really good video on like running a successful West Marches game? I think I have a pretty good idea of how to do it, but I should probably check in with the experts and see how other people successfully run theirs to kind of build my theory of how to West Marches. Here's the link. Oh, thank you, Thorkin. What did you think of the cinematic, Thorkin? Are you hyped for War Within or what? I know you've been playing some Kata recently. I don't think you need to say much. It pretty much speaks for itself. Well, the thing is, though, that Twitter values words now. So, like, I don't think Twitter's gotten worse in the last year or so for most people, but it has for artists because visibility of art and images has gone down. So, Twitter, if you're an artist and you want to do well on Twitter, grow, I mean, by do well, you have to put a lot of text around what you're saying because that's how Twitter's new search API and whatnot does stuff. So, like, here's an example of a good tweet. I'm gonna show you an example of a tweet that I know is a good way of doing tweet that I've grown off of, and ones that aren't. Things like this don't really do all that well, and that's fine. Like I'm not, Twitter's not like my primary. Like I'm not butthurt about it, but I did a tweet a while ago about going deep on some Astral Sage stuff or Astral Knight stuff. So here, design process for the Astral Knight. Going a little deep on the lore design concept of this one, a thread. And I made a whole thread about it with art. So I talked about the original like design for Astral Knights. I talked about the concept work, some of it. So I'm posting art and stuff within this thread that has a lot of text and lore. And you can see that this thing got 667 views, right? Like that's a lot of views comparatively when I post a video that gets 130, right? Entities, dude, thank you for the tier 2, dude. What's up, Entities? How you been? Thank you, bro. I appreciate that. Thank you. What's up?
If that's how it ends up working out, then that's how it got to be.
I think so, right?
A more drop-in, drop-out style of campaign for when people are available is doable, but it isn't a common skill set for most DMs and not a common style of play for players.
Yeah, I guess you're right that players might be a little bit off-put by it. I think Entities, you know what? You're right. That's a good point. I need to have a good way of explaining how to make a character properly for this. That's a great fucking point. That's you're so right about that, Entities. I need to talk to players who create a character for this. This is not your standard D&D game campaign. You have to create a character that's going to fit into this type of whatever, right? You know? Got a free one-shot called Moon over Gravmore. That sounds exciting. So yeah, like check it out. I don't know why I like this, probably for a meme. But great piece of concept art that I like. It's a favorite of mine. 126 views. Pepe laugh meme 100 views. Sketch work in progress 146 views. You know, a portfolio date tweet with 200 views. So the word Twitter looks at and recommends things based on surrounding words. Why hashtags aren't important anymore. Because the more you talk about things like concept art and whatever, and give the Twitter algorithm more text to really chew on, the more and better it's going to recommend your stuff. So like what would be better is if I made a process thing for this, and I probably will make a tweet like that, talking about and showing the different like completion steps of this tweet or of this piece whilst going over the design process and theory and whatnot. And that's how I think how you have to do Twitter now if you want to grow on Twitter as an artist, is you have to be able to talk about your work. Twitter is a platform of words now. Again, it used to be, and then it moved to images, and now it's back to words. Yeah, it's trying to post raise the visibility. Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, I think that's what you have to do as an artist on Twitter now. I enjoyed, I think, doing some work to instill Xalatath as the bad guy. Like, sure, if you know the lore, it's not revealing anything, but I got my normie friends hyped and asking questions. Oh, that's a good point. You know what? You're right, Thorkin. I had a neckbeard moment then, just now. Because yeah, you're right. Like if you know all the lore, it didn't really say anything new. But if you are a average Warcraft enjoyer, and you're like, Xalatath, isn't that the name of the Naifu? And that's like all you really know about it, or even if you don't even know that shit, then yeah, totally. Yep, you're right about that. That in that case, it did exactly what it was supposed to do. It shows Xalatath being the manipulator, the whatever individual that she's been through history. Totally. Okay, yeah, all right. I'm more positive about the cinematic now. I know some of like the Warcraft individuals like Asmund and them really didn't like it because it wasn't like metal and Warcraft and like skulls and shit. But I actually don't. I normally agree with that like Warcraft has lost a little bit of that and kind of needs it back. But I thought that the cinematic was okay. Legit, I thought it was decent. It wasn't like a Dragonflight cinematic where everyone's just talking about their feelings and shit. Like, it was actually pretty good. It was like Warcrafty in my opinion. I don't really find the Nerubians as a very compelling or interesting villain, so I don't really give a shit about them, but I think that I'll probably give a shit more about the Hallowfall stuff. But I'm excited. That or have a narrative device that facilitates the character disappearing and showing up. Technically, I have one for my games, though I haven't decided. Need to run, drop in and out style game for a long time. I think the guild is a good way of doing it. The guild. You know, having Adventurers Guild like the Dragon's Claim and you're a member of it. And then, like, people can be at the Adventurers Guild or not. I was in the military for 20 years and we got pretty good dropping players in and out of games. As a real life, in and out as real life pulled players for guard duties and deployments. DMing for military bases is a whole skill set of its own right. That's awesome. Thank you for your service, by the way. We got a bunch of veterans in our little Twitch community, and I got a lot of love and respect for all y'all. So that's awesome, dude. But a bunch of Marines too. Weird. It's mostly Marines and Air Force. I guess there's something about eating crayons and sitting in chairs all day that attracts those two branches, and a couple of Navy veterans, but only love. But that's got to be pretty difficult, yeah. If you're like playing a D&D game, and suddenly, you know, James gets deployed to Okinawa for like a year and a half, right? It's like, how does that work? You know? That makes it pretty difficult. British Army in my case. Oh, sick. Okay, so when you're saying Marines, you're talking about like Royal Marines and shit. Okay, that's damn. We have, so I think you might be the first veteran from England. We've got a couple of Australian military veterans, a bunch of Americans, a couple Canadians, but I think you might be the first UK. That's awesome. Cheers. The important thing for West March is to have a stable of characters per player. Basically, I have a few ready to go. And Jesus, Rob, chill, bro. Chill. Jesus, what the fuck? You could just throw 5 subs at me in the middle of a dude. You can't. Come on, man. What the hell was that for? Thank you, Rob. I appreciate it. Thanks for the 5 subs, man. How you doing, Rob? What's good? Thanks to the 5 subs, man. Thanks for bringing 5 people in the guild and saying, hey, ads on Twitch suck and they make streams almost unwatchable. So here's a bunch of Twitch subs for people. Thank you, dude. I really appreciate that. It's very, very generous of you, Rob. How you doing, bro? I heard that you guys have been getting smoke where you live. Not as bad as we have, but I hope it's been okay for you, man. I appreciate you. Sneak attack? Yeah, actual sneak attack. Thank you, dude. I'm always super honored and humbled when somebody gifts subs, because not only is it like supporting me as a streamer and all that stuff, but it's also like inviting a couple people in the guild and saying, hey, you can have like emotes and shit and like be part of it. And that means a great deal to me. So thank you, Rob. God. I'll say that I enjoyed buying up a lot of reference books at Gen Con. What kind of reference books did you buy? And wait, reference for what? Like for RPGs or for visuals or what are you getting? Now the part back to the shadow. You can just drop 5 subs and just okay. That's Gamello, man. That's fucking Gamello. I appreciate it, dude. Thank you. Whatever you're doing today, I hope it goes well and is amazing. And thank you, bro. Seriously. It's been a little rough on Twitch over the last couple of months, so you have no idea how much I appreciate those subs. Thank you, dude. It's very kind of you. Fuck, man. Y'all are way too nice to me sometimes. I just have to like process it emotionally for a minute. All right, I'm good now. No, I'm not. Ah, shit. I'm not over it. Damn it. Thank you, dude. Oh, we gotta draw a path here. Okay, that's right. That's right. Path time. Maybe it's a river. That'd be kind of cool, too. There's just like a river leading up to it. That'd be kind of weird, though. Maybe I should. I'm undecided about that. We'll figure it out. Don't know if you saw it earlier, but there's a mod game. It can be the backup DM if you need once in a while. That'd be sick. Yeah. Fuck yeah. Well, I need to run the mod game so the mods actually give a shit. Because I don't know if you noticed, Thorkin, the mods don't care anymore. They don't give a shit. They're like, Evan's dumb D&D adventure? Like, whatever. Sounds like something for nerds. So we gotta get them into the game. Give them some D&D to play. Yep. Yep. Thank you, Mel. I appreciate it. Thank you. What's good, Cal? What are you doing, bro? Good job, Cal, with all your adventures last month. Your July was very inspiring, bro. For those who don't know, we had a fitness challenge, which was a walking challenge all of last month. Everyone posted their pictures of where they went, the cool things they did. I think Cal wins. Yeah, I think Cal wins with the adventures anyway. My taking pictures of birds in the Canadian Rockies was not super enthralling, I don't think, but maybe, I don't know. There's a lot of people from Europe that always find the Canadian Rockies very interesting. We get a lot of people out where I live. We get tons of people from the UK and from like Denmark and like Scandinavia and shit. Like a ton of people. Tons of people from the UK though. They're like, bro, I just want to see mountains. That's the only reason I'm here. I've come to Canada because it's comfortably English enough that you still spell things with U's, but it's like novel enough that it feels like I'm in America. But you guys have big mountains. I'm like, oh, that's true. I get it. Given this complete hell, I want to go back to playing Eldara. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Adventure will come out soon. I'm really glad you played in it, Mel. Thank you for going on that adventure with Atari. My brain keeps trying to put a crystal blue lake behind the gateway. I think that's what I'm gonna do. I think I'm gonna put a gate like I think I'm gonna put a lake sort of like behind, and then like a sort of a mountain thingy here with like some cool runes on it or whatever. And then like I think that's what I'm sort of planning. So I'm considering making this like a river that's in between this and like the gate, and like having like, I don't know, like arches or something going through here, and like a little dock or something. Maybe we'll do that actually. I'm like pretty sure that's what I want to do, not just make this a path. Rock's interesting to people who don't have hills like that. Personally, I love going in the prairies. Yeah, I mean that's where I grew up. Spent 6 months in Alberta when I was in the army. That's where I grew up in Calgary. I still live close by. So that sort of Southern Alberta connection to the Rockies is always very important to me. No matter where I live, like look, it's a giant mountain right there. Like that's what mountains look like for me. But when I was like growing up in Calgary and stuff, it was like you could always see the mountains on the horizon. And it's so weird when you drive somewhere where there aren't mountains. I don't know. It was like different. It was like weird, I guess. Like driving further into the prairies, like east, like into Saskatchewan, or further north, like Edmonton, where you look around, you see no mountains. Freaked me out, dude. I saw Atari step chart. He did a great job. Yeah, you guys, I mean, you guys who competed in the challenge absolutely crushed it. I think I finished at like 300 something like I did way, or 300 something kilometers. I did way more than I thought I would. I was pulling like 10 to 15,000 steps per day for the walking challenge. I lost a bunch of weight, dude. It was great. It was a really productive month. I started May at 230 pounds because I gained some weight during the winter, and now I'm at 206. So I've lost 24 pounds about since May this year, just walking and hitting the gym and fucking eating right and stuff. So hopefully I can. My goal was to be to like hit like 195 or whatever by the time I got to go to see Ella's family. And the walking challenge definitely helped me with that. So fitness challenge going well. Getting healthy, getting in shape, one step at a time. Close to Edmonton, it was outside Medicine Hat. We have a huge training base there. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, our big air base is in Cold Lake now, but there's a couple bases there. That's cool. Well, I hope it was fun training Alberta. I'm not sure if you were doing sweltering summer training or blistering winter training, but whatever the season was, I hope you enjoyed your time in Alberta. I think it's Alberta's quite a special place. I like it quite a bit. It's not the most interesting place in the world, you know, but I think that it's got a great culture of sort of the ranching, sort of Western culture and communities, mixed with a great agricultural and farming kind of like lineage, mixed with, of course, there's the Rocky fucking Mountains right there and everything that goes along with that, lumber and, you know, energy up north and whatnot. I think Alberta's pretty cool. I like growing up here. A lot of cool stuff, especially like the summer. Like I was so butthurt when the mods, I had a bunch of my mods come and fly out and visit me last year, and they all came in November. It's like, why November, dude? It's cold, it's snowy, everything's brown and dead, the days are short. Why are you guys all coming up to see the beauty and majesty of Canada in November? Ugh. They all loved it though. I said it was dope. I hope they come back very soon. Maybe even during the summer. But that's not. that's a couple years away, probably. Okay. Oh yeah, I gotta make an Eldaracon badge for all of them. Forgot about that. I need some more like rune stones and monuments and rocks and stuff on this, I think. More of those interesting rock shapes that sort of come about from astral sages doing crazy magic. Maybe make this key point in the West Marches style game. I'm actually excited about that. I'm gonna message Ella today, and I'm gonna tell her about the West Marches idea and my plans. And I'm gonna ask her to pick a character for her West Marches game. And you know what? She's probably gonna tell me Charlotte, which is great because I already have art for her. I think it'd be super dope also for Ella to play an Astral Knight for the whole like campaign. I really want, like, one thing I really want on my like wish list of things for the Eldara games to be, I really want people to play Astral Sages and Astral Knights for the Eldara game. I really want people to play the classes because I can try and make, and like I don't want to favor any class, right? Obviously, but I really think that it's cool to have like a class that interacts with the unique magics of Eldara, specifically the way the Sage and the Knight does, and the history too. Like I'm super excited for people to play those classes. I would like to go do some class building streams again. But those I think make for better evening streams because more people are around in the evening to give like feedback and stuff, and I know people like to be there for them. So I think I might do a class building stream one evening this week. I gotta make up for streams because I didn't stream out like all of I streamed 2 days last week, right? I don't remember. I feel like I gotta do some makeup streams. Felt bad about missing stuff because the fam was in town for the long weekend. And yeah, I'm pretty sure it wasn't a long weekend in America, right? It was just in Canada. The problem with the evening streams, though, is that they're always like non-EU friendly. I always feel bad about that. A lot of very invested Europeans in the class design that I always feel bad when we like make big decisions on how things work without them. So, Volunteers Tribute, all right. All right, Mel, you're going to be one of the first people that creates an Astral Sage when the class comes out, okay? You're going to be one of the first people that gets a copy of the Astral Sage class when it's ready for beta. If you're going to create a Sage, hell yeah. An ancient order of spellcasters and mystics. Those who study the magic of the stars. For all other practitioners of magic, all other magicians, wizards, conjurers, they utilize magic after it has been delivered to this world of Teleria. The sages use the magic long before it has arrived in Teleria. They pull it from the stars itself. The Pyro Astral Sage? Alright, I might disappoint you then. There's not many fire skills in the Astral Sage tree. There's not many, there's like 2. They have their own spell list. Completely original. Very different from Wizard or Sorcerer or Warlock. Or any of them, actually. It is necessary that it is written like that. If I do a couple more of these, then that's fine. Wait, I need to give my eyes a break. I need to look out the window for a second. Ugh, God. It's so nice not to be fucking dead tired. I started, like I said, I started a new medication last week that just put me to fucking sleep during the day. After I took it for a couple of hours, I would just be asleep on the couch. Unable to function for hours in the afternoon. But I couldn't take it too close to bed because it would upset my stomach. So, that sucked. I had to be a lot better to my eyes than not looking away from my screen for 2 hours. Holy shit. Yeah, Jesus, man. Amazing regardless? Alright. Your confidence, I appreciate.
Drink water, take your meds, and here's another bardic inspiration.
Thank you, dude. Thank you, Steve. Thank you for the bardic inspiration. I appreciate that. I do need to drink more water. I need to be better hydrated. It's getting warm again where I live, so I gotta be on top of it. Thank you. Thank you for the inspiration. Now I'm inspired. We're gonna do some dope ass art today then. All because of your help. My energy was waning. But because of you, I appreciate it. Thank you, dude. For sword powers out, I imagine there'd be more fires and radiant spells. Fire and radiant spells? Yeah, radiant's kind of in there, I guess. Sort of. Not really. Not like divine radiant, but there's West Marches. What region would be in Shattered Sea or somewhere else? It would start in the Shattered Sea, I think. Yeah, I think it's gonna start in the Shattered Sea. I'm pretty sure. Yep. Yep. What do your artistic eyes see? Leaves, mountains. I wonder if baby deer is still there. There were some baby deer outside my door, or outside my place in the forest earlier this morning. I don't see them. They could be gone, or maybe they're just hiding really well. But fawns are a little bit more easy to spot. So I saw them this morning on my walk because there's a path right by my house that I sometimes take a little stroll on. And I saw them there. They stared at me, and I stared at them, and they were like, "Sup?" And I was like, "Not much. What's good?" And then I walked past them. They're very cute. So nothing right now, Cal. I'm sorry. Arcane power derived from a primal source as opposed to filtered through the world itself. Like it. Yeah. So basically, the concept of the Astral Sage is I have some concept of Astral Sage. This is my wife's Astral Sage. The Astral Sages are a group of, so basically the way you can think of magic is that magic is exactly like you said, it comes from somewhere outside the universe, or outside somewhere within the universe outside of your like world, right? And what Astral Sages will do is they'll basically kind of, if you think about the magic interacting with light, they'll basically like point a lens at some deep place in the universe where they know magic is very potent, right? They don't know what's there. Could be from a world, a star, a galaxy, but they just know magic can come from that location. And they'll point these rings, these little rings at the that part of the universe, and it'll sort of draw magic through to them. That they use a very sort of rudimentary system of runes to sort of like draw the light through and kind of like color the light as it comes to them, that they can form into like doing whatever. And this comes from the way that the ancients built the world, right? So I have a piece of art that shows off these like big rings. The one I'm drawing right now is kind of derivative of it. But these big rings are found all across the world, in the sky floating and on the ground crashed. And these are rings of an ancient group known as the Eldari. And they were the ones that are responsible for building the world. Now, they were either servants of the gods, or the gods themselves, or messengers, or envoys, or aliens, depending on who you ask, whether it's the elves or the Geminos or whatever histories and traditions. What the truth is, I'm not too keen on like spoiling that for players, because that's kind of a cool story that I want players to play through over a long period of time. But basically the Astral Sages have figured out how to use these like ancient runes to like perform magic. Now they know that this magic, that the gifts or the possibility of spellcasting that the Eldari had was like the magic of creation itself. They could create worlds, summoning creatures, build life, destroy things, create entire civilization. Like this is the magic of the universe in its most basic primal sort of way, being manipulated by gods. And the idea is that the modern day Astral Sage are like children sort of playing in that sandbox, because the way that these rings are composed is, it's very, if you're a math nerd, it's all based off prime numbers. And I don't want to say too much more than that, because some people have been getting very close in our community to figuring out how to decode the runes. But anyway, and so they know how to use like a little bit of the runes now as sages to perform spellcasting feats, like shooting magic out and blowing things up and like creating things or healing or doing whatever. But they interact with like magic on a primal creation level. It's very mathematic the way they interact with magic. Whereas your sorcerer or your druid or whatever, the druid, it's like, where do you get the magic from? Well, I pull it from nature. Okay, cool. That's awesome. So you're getting magic that is in and around nature, but you're pulling it from these natural sources. So it's kind of confined, right? But the whole idea from these sages is that there's no confinement or box, that this magic can kind of do anything. They're very limited in what they know how to do with it so far. But sages are one part scholar and caster, one part monk, that kind of has to like sort of center themselves and connect with the universe in a way, and one part like archaeologist, where it's a big thing that Astral Sages do, where they will go and they will try and find runes and uncover secrets and decode the past in ways to sort of summon some power and figure out how to utilize their magics better. So one of my players is playing a Astral Knight, which is sort of the Astral Sage's like protector class, where they use these same rings and these same powers, but they channel all of their magics through a sword, through a very dangerous and very difficult and secretive way, that they still channel this like this space themed magic through their weaponry. So this is my wife's current character. And I really want people to, when they play through the where were we? Here we go. When people play through the story or the adventure, I really want people to give the Astral Sage and the Astral Knight classes a chance, because they're so deeply connected with the lore of the world, and I feel like they'd be really satisfying stories. Maybe that reminds me of defrost the venison burger for dinner. Yeah, venison's pretty good out here. I haven't seen their mom for a while. I haven't seen their mom since the winter, so I hope I don't know. Hope we're doing all right. We get all kinds of creatures here: grizzly bears, black bears, coyotes, moose, deer, elk. Don't see caribou that often. I think we're a little bit far south for caribou. I think we're a little bit far south for caribou. Yeah, we're just a bit too far south for caribou. Caribou are a lot more sort of the north area. Through the mountains, there's not a ton of them, but like, you know, I live down in the southern Alberta range here, so we see a lot of moose, a lot of elk, those kind of things, but tons and tons of creatures. The wildlife here is insane. Really good hunting and fishing. Astrocanum, part astrologist, part wizard, part monk. Yeah, I really like that kind of vibe, you know. I like that sort of connection to the universe style spellcaster that isn't necessarily limited by the ideas like the arcane or the fel or whatever. And so like kind of the magic system within my setting is sort of built to evoke that fantasy. That there is some mysticism in it, and that there is some like universal powers, and that it's non-deity derived necessarily. Although there are traditions that derive their power from a deity, as they sort of air quote say deity. I'm not a big fan of patron-based magic either, because I think that once you have like powerful beings like deities and powerful spellcasting creatures and patrons that are interactable, I think it actually destroys some of the agency that players have in a story, right? Or you have to conveniently explain why your deities don't interact. It's like, can you go see the deity? Sure, you can go see the deity. You can dap them up and say, what's up, deity? You can get their powers. You can go whatever. You can talk to them. You can portal through the temple to a plane where you're talking to the deity while you're both drinking tea. By the way, we might all die, deity. Do you want to interact? Oh, I can't because of some narrative rule. It's like, oh. Like, I've just heard that story so many times that I find it almost, like, non-interesting. It's not invigorating for me to have deities that are, how would you call it? Willingly absent deities. I think the idea of having interactable deities or beings of great power that need a convenient reason as to why they don't interact with your sort of setting, it doesn't work for what I want to do in my story. I don't think it destroys a setting or whatever. It just doesn't work for what I want to do. And I kind of want to stay away from a lot of that kind of stuff if I can in the class design as well. So it's gonna make actually like doing warlocks and like I'm gonna have to have a canonical version of like how warlocks work, so D&D players don't feel left out. Because don't forget, Eldara is a world that D&D is being used to build. Eldara is not a world that's built for D&D. So if the idea of warlocks is the way they currently function don't quite fit into Eldara, I'm not butthurt about that. But I don't want people who want to play a warlock to feel like they can't. There just needs to be some sort of like in-world canonical explanation for how warlock patrons work. And I don't really know how to do that yet, but we'll figure it out. I haven't had any players recently want to play a warlock, so I haven't had to figure it out. You know? Maybe deity plants a sword in your world, and you need to spend a decade collecting the world blood or some stuff. What sword? Yeah, well, I don't know what you're talking about, Thorkin. What sword? Yeah, what? That's crazy, dude. Yeah, I don't know what kind of game you're talking about. That's crazy. Given the concept that this is a well of power is where the world's built from, DD-based arcane skills are flittering in the primal source. In the same way as druidic magic still works well. Yeah, I think you'd have to mute the power of deities. That's I think the best way of doing it is to mute the power of the deities in a way that becomes tangible. Like they are a conduit for power in a way they don't provide. Like you can't have omniscient deities in the way that I'm trying to do it. You can't have D&D style deities or like Lord of the Rings style deities. It has to be something more obtainable. I'm also pretty anti having high level characters everywhere in your world. Like, as far as I'm concerned, there aren't on Teleria, because don't forget, there's not many worlds in Realms of Eldara, but on Teleria specifically, I think the highest level character is probably 15 or 16. Right? Because, like, once you say, like, oh, you know, in this fantasy world, there are 20th level wizards everywhere. There's a 20th level wizard in every keep. That kind of changes the implications of this. The storytelling implications of that really change, in my opinion. You know? When you have a billion Elminsters just everywhere. Elminstering themselves. Ew. Maybe not that way. I won't word it that way. My world, some of the gods are more interactive than others. Typically, it's the younger ones that are more open to reach out to mortals, but even then, every god will at least help to a degree if asked. Yeah, and the problem that I run into, Cow, is I try and figure out then the stakes of, like, the world might be destroyed. Oh no. Why aren't the gods helping out or fixing it? So the gods are not omniscient, and then they're not really deities. They're just powerful spirits. In which case, that kind of changes it. It changes the nature of it. You're a divine caster for a powerful spirit, but your powerful spirit is not an infallible, omniscient, whatever, omnipotent being. And there's limits to both what you and that being's power can be, which I think is a cool idea. Like, imagine you're a paladin, right? But you're like a paladin, and your divine powers come from, like, let's say like some kind of a fox spirit, like a Japanese themed fox spirit in a temple. We're gonna go Shinto on this shit. You're like a paladin samurai, and you have like a fox spirit that gives you your powers, and your fox spirit's in the temple. But your fox spirit's vulnerable, and your powers come from said fox spirit. But there's something about your fox spirit that is vulnerable. It's whatever. Like, you need to have something in there. I think that's really a cool story. I think it might be how I rationalize warlocks in a way. I have a bit of a warlock story that I'm thinking about for that. But it's difficult to say, like, oh, this deity just doesn't care about if the world gets destroyed, or they have a pact where they can't intervene. It's like, that's the way everyone describes it, and that's fine. It's a very useful way to describe how your deities don't interact with your worlds. They just have an agreement not to interfere with mortal woes. But I've heard it a billion times, and I'm not interested in retelling that story. Not to say it's bad, it's just I've heard that story a lot. You know what I mean? So it's tough, I think. Sort of Planet Bleed, of course. Ah, yes. Sure not. Shit. Someone said Sargeras. Damn. You also, let's get banned somewhat. Jesus. I did that to Blaze the other day. Oh no, I did that to you the other day, Thorkin, by accident. I'm glad I didn't kill your followage streak. Whatever. Be a singular nexus of power. Exactly. Yeah. The 20 ways of the power to wish 20 and 3 seconds ago. Now there are 19. Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit too difficult for storytelling, I think, implications when you have too many characters of that level of power, I think, we're running around. So it's one way that I'm sort of managing it is by limiting exactly what the amount of people, because also, like, as you level up, you need to tell me when you're leveling up in my game, you need to tell me where you get the knowledge of your next level from. And you can be as invested or non-invested as you want to. So I've had some players that really don't give a shit, and I'm like, we're like, okay, we're in this town. You guys take your 5th level. Where do you find your 5th level of power from? And one players be like, well, I consult the spirits and I meditate, and the spirits come talk to me and they teach me of new ways to use my bardic College of Spirits bard powers. And I'm like, great, cool, that's awesome. But then I have some players who are like, I'm gonna go to the local Paladin Order. I'm like, great, sure. So you go to the Paladin Order, and they have this whole RP thing where they go and they talk to the Grandmaster of the Paladin Order, and they're like, well, we've got this secret tome, and our orders have for a long time been brothers and sisters in this conflict against evil. So we are happy to let you into our reliquary and teach you of our secrets. Come into our vault, and they do, and they read from this tome of power, and they uncover something, and it's this magical whatever, and that's how they learn to do their level whatever spells, right? And I don't force my players to do that, but I like them to have a reason for where they're getting it and how they're getting it, because I think it's kind of weird. You're in the middle of a town in the middle of nowhere, and you're getting your 7th level when the highest level like, who's teaching you? Like, how are you learning these skills? And a lot of players, it adds their story progression when they have some way, like we've had entire like mini campaigns, like 5 or 6 game runs in the past where my players went. The biggest one was one of my players was leveling up to like 16 or 17 as a wizard, and he didn't like. He's like, well, I'm so powerful, but I'm more powerful than all the masters at my academy and at the schools and whatever. Where do I learn the secrets of the universe even more so? And there was a story of like this ancient magician mage that had a tower in the mountains that uncovered the secrets of an ancient civilization of proto mages that were ultimate spellcasters, and he was the last of their line that maintained their secret knowledge, and you had to go and find his ancient tower, which was hidden by a powerful magic spell that you could only be dispelled by someone with enough potent energy in them that is of the 14, 15, 16th level to then dispel the illusion, which they had to fight their way up the tower then to consult the ancient mage who was, a sort of emperor of all mankind stuck in his chair, a decrepit skeleton that was still barely functioning and kept alive by magic and gifted the ability to read from their tomes to understand the next level of spells. And that was really fucking cool, and players love that usually. Some players are like, I'm a rogue, I'm just gonna like steal some shit and wander around town and like practice my skills. I'm like, cool, you level up, you take your 7th level, congratulations, have fun. But most players more often than not like that style of progression, I think, in my games anyway. Our live stream, the gods are not all powerful and have been silenced where they can't talk to our characters and only or only have a moment before they become silenced by another presence, keeping them quiet. That's cool. To me, that's still that for Eldara, that still raises narrative concerns of like what creature is powerful enough to like silence a deity, and then is that like how does that work for the idea or concept of deities? Like I don't know, I just haven't found a good way of doing it, and I kind of want to avoid the whole thing. But I know that deities have like a really strong sort of component in fantasy, which is why I'm trying to keep the mysticism. So there are deities, like the elves have their gods, the humans have their gods, but what are these creatures? What are these spirits? What are these things? Are they sort of like social constructions of these groups to explain natural phenomenon, like sort of the pagan gods of the past, or are they real beings that are common to all but renamed different things depending on the civilization? Are there elvish gods and dwarven gods and those who favor the children of different lineage of ancestry? I'm kind of not interested in explaining any of that to my players. They ask like, are the gods real? I'm like, who are you asking? And they're like, I'm asking you, DM. I'm like, I'm not gonna answer that for you. They're like, okay, well, who do I ask? I'm like, you're in a town. Who do you want to ask? They're like, I don't know, let's go to like the local like church. I'm like, okay, there's like an order of light in the city, run by a bunch of paladins and clerics and priests and stuff. You want to go ask them? They're like, sure. And they go ask them. They're like, are the gods real? And then then I give them an in-world answer that those people would provide, which is like, for them, they might say, no, the gods aren't real. They are representations of of different powers in the universe. There's the power of entropy, the power of death, the power of life, the power of the radiant, and the gods are personifications meant to represent that. And we pray to the individual because it's a interactable, understandable thing. And they're like, cool. And they go ask the dwarven clerics in the dwarven city, are the dwarven gods really? Like, oh yeah, they come down. We're waiting on them, man. The dwarven gods came here a couple hundred years ago. And you're like, really? And they're like, yeah, dude, there was a kid born that had the spirit of the dwarven god of fire in him, and he was a great and mighty noble king. And then he was assassinated, and the spirit went back to the realm, and we are awaiting the return of him in mortal flesh. And you're like, okay, that's cool. But I don't ever want to give my players a in-universe explanation of how it works. But I find the players and DMs are so hungry for that shit that sometimes they get frustrated about it. They're like, well, what's the answer, Evan? Like DMs. They'll be like, how do I DM in Eldar if I don't know the answer? I'm like, just give them what the answers are from the different people. Depending on who they ask, they'll say this. I think that's totally fine. I don't think you need to know as a DM what the actual functioning mechanics are of Eldar to run a game in it. You know? Last Arcanist I played was taught every spell he would ever know during his training. What he lacked is the ability to control his higher power spells, which developed as he leveled. It saved the hunting and teacher in the middle of the dungeon issues. That's fair. That's a good way of doing it. Height of the Wizard didn't go to the university. He'll tell you. Oh my. Self-taught exclamation. Who asked, wizard? Yeah, what wizarding school did you go to? I'm actually self-taught. Oh, wow. That's why my spells are so bad. And you should forgive me and still commission me to take care of your spellcrafting, even though I'm worse at it than others. Really? Because I'm self-taught. Okay. Okay, dude. Thanks, wizard. I'll catch you later. Maybe if I have some need for mediocre spellcasting, I'll ask you. Weirdo. I love wizards so much. Me too. Plus, Magic's a lot more serious than people tend to play it. Like, take Druid, for example. At level 9, they can cast Awaken. The silly, I made an animal companion to be able to talk to us, is giving us animal or object human level intelligence, and the 9th level Druid has access to it. Yeah, Magic's potent. It's important. I don't mess around, Weasel. I'm very careful about how I invoke high-level spellcasting into the world, because I don't give it to people casually. Like in my brain, the amount of times I've thought to myself, you have, let's say, a story of armies. A story of armies, of one nation invading another nation. You are there by a proxy of another nation as an ambassador to try and end the war, end the violence. But the war has started, and they've gone to the field, and you need to march to the middle, and you need to defeat both the champions during the ceremonial whatever phase, and no one's challenged a champion in generations. It's just a ceremony thing, but you're going to do it anyway, and you're going to challenge champions and do whatever. when you have 20th level wizards everywhere, it makes an army of fighting Uruk-hai seem a lot less scary. You know what I mean? It's like, to me, it's the arms race. When you have 20th level wizards chilling in your world, or even 15th level wizards chilling in your world, to me, it's kind of like the nuclear option. It dispels the magic sort of historical aspect of fantasy that people like. You know, armies and wizards and nobility and feudalism and all this like stuff that we like. That's the quaint part of medieval fantasy that doesn't involve, you know, plague and syphilis and dysentery and whatever, which we just push to the side because whatever, who cares if we want a rose-colored view of history and the quaintness of it. That's fine. I'm not shaming any D&D player for that. But it makes it kind of difficult when you're like, oh yeah, there's level 20 wizards that are here. They can just snap their fingers, the entire army's gone. So it's all performative? So the battle, the marching, all this stuff, all the historical part of fantasy that we love, the knights, the martial classes, these don't really matter, do they? Okay, cool. That's the way I see it. That's why I try and invoke magic in Eldara very, very sparsely. And there's always like a limitation to it that I hope infuses the world with a believable amount of scuffed historical sort of conflict, you know? Hey, Saber, that needs to be fully and go cook myself some dinner. It's been an absolute joy to cover stream. Dude, honored to have you here, Raven. Honored to have you. Absolute pleasure, my friend. Enjoy your dinner, the rest of your evening. And we'll see you around, alright? We'll catch you sometime later this week. Actually, it's Friday. Or tomorrow. So that's the last stream of the week tomorrow. But Fridays for requests, and I'm very excited to get back to doing requests on Fridays. So, catch you around. But yeah, I just find the magic is to me, I try to invoke it very often. I try and be very selective about it and very careful about when I sort of allow magical forces to be of a power that is like realm defining, because it kind of just like, it always sort of deflates the thing for me for a little bit, right? Like, okay, I'm not gonna explain this very well. So if somebody can word this in a way, can transmute my unthoughtful explanation of this into like a better way of wording it, I'd appreciate that. But the vibe is, I find it a mood killer when someone has to find when you get a convenient reason for why something works the way it does. By that I mean, you have deities, and everyone's like, deities, and they're all powerful, and they can do anything. They're omniscient. They've been around since the beginning of creation. Since creation, but they have a code. A code where they don't interact with mortals. You're like, oh. Okay. It just kind of like, it makes the concept like kind of deflated and sort of flaccid. You know? You have wizards, and huge armies of men and elves standing against darkness and orcs and Mordor. Oh my god, this is so cool. But they both have level 20th wizards on both sides. Okay. And they know that they can't really start throwing fireballs at each other because then they're just going to destroy the whole world. Okay. So they're going to play this sort of like American-Russian Cold War arms race game of like proxy states and stuff like that to not actually step over each other. Okay, so are they ever going to meet in battle and have these huge, massive, colossal clashes of hundreds of thousands of soldiers? No, whenever they do, they march to the battlefield with 50,000 soldiers on one side and 50,000 soldiers on the other side, and then the wizards all sit down, because there's about 8 of them on each side, and they sit down for a game of 8-on-8 chess that they play in their minds, because they're wizards. And you're like, oh. So there's no big, epic sword fights and battles? No, we can't do that because there's 20th level wizards on both sides. You're like, oh, okay, I guess that makes sense. Like the rationality can make sense, but it's still like neutering of the potency of the story. It just kind of like clips it off, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess that makes sense. For me, it's the way deities work. All the descriptions of why the deities can't interact with us are all these kind of like disappointing. You know, like I'm not sure if that's a vibe anyone else gets from fantasy, but I've gotten it a lot, and that's why I try and invoke magic very sparsely, and why I think that low fantasy actually is doing a lot better recently. There was a video game that I was watching a streamer watch a trailer of the other day. I don't remember which streamer or what video game, but I remember the streamer was like, this looks really cool. It's like pretty low fantasy and awesome. And I kind of perked up and I was drawing and I kind of looked up. I was like, why is low fantasy in demand? And I think it's partly that you don't have to have these like hoops and rings to jump through to explain why, you know, like why is Lord of the Rings so cool, and why is Gandalf and Saruman and Sauron, why are those all magicians and spellcasters so amazing in fantasy? I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that like it was so limited. Right? These great magical beings, the Nazgul, the whatever, they could still be obtainably interacted with by the heroes of the story. And I think that's an important part of it that gets lost in D&D because of the high fantasy nature of like, I'm a wizard, I want to cast Fireball. It's like, that's awesome, dude. But do you want the implications of what being able to cast Fireball means? And they're like, I don't want to think that hard. I just want to cast Fireball. You're like, fair. But I have to think that hard. I have to consider the implications of this. Because if I don't, then, you know, it's one of those things where it's like everybody thinks they want to be a 20th level wizard until they realize the implications of what having 20th level wizards in your world actually means for your story, and then it kind of changes things. And maybe I'm overthinking it, but it's currently my obsession, I guess, to try and figure out how to tell fantasy stories in a way that excites people again, because I don't think fantasy's been exciting for the majority of people for a while. I honestly don't think fantasy has been exciting for the majority of fantasy nerds for a lot longer than we want to admit. And I know some people are like, oh, what do you mean? There's like all these cool fantasy books coming out. And it's like, that's great. If you're enjoying it, that's awesome. I'm talking about a general sort of like temperature test, a vibe check of the general fantasy community of people just being kind of like disappointed in it. Whereas like science fiction nerds are fucking loving it. Sci-fi nerds are having a great time. Because there's something that is constraining fantasy nerds or limiting or damaging fantasy as a genre that is not currently hurting science fiction the same way. And it's like my life's mission right now to try and uncover what that feature or facet is. Because I think that once you do uncover that and you can reinvigorate fantasy, then you save the genre in a way. And you make the entire genre more exciting, not just your own piece of work. Honestly, for you, just an idea for aspiring DMs, Battletech at level 20 Wizards had the war, and now it's post-apocalyptic. I mean, that's kind of a cool idea. Like, that's sort of the way that the Aldarians work in the Shattered Sea, right? Like, they already like what happens when you get a society of level of that has a obtainable amount of 20th level wizards? You get the Shattered Sea. That's my nuclear winter political commentary for my world. Is what happens when you give people the power of the gods. We're gonna blow ourselves up. Unless there's a willing limitation of that power, a willing sacrifice, which I think is a very old story. It's a mythological story. It's the idea of having power and willingly giving it up because of the inherent flaws of your mortality and you as a person. It's like, it's a biblical story, it's a mythological story, it's found in Greek myth, it's found in Nordic myth, it's found in a lot of places, which is why it's a very compelling story. That's why people, like with the American history thing, that's why people find the idea of like George Washington could have been president for longer, but he gave up the power. He didn't want the power, but they said that is the most righteous leader is the one who seeks not leadership, the power in general, right? Like that whole thing. Like, for me, that's like, well, what happens when you give people this untapped power? You get the Shattered Sea. This once thriving island nation of ancients that were all-knowing and all-powerful when it came to matters of the arcane. What do they do with it? Eventually, they blew themselves the fuck up. That's what happened. Which I think is a compelling story. And so they hid their knowledge. They're surviving remaining ones, you know, how exciting, put their stuff into a box and hid it in the fucking desert. Nerder, what's going on, dude? Give me the raid. How you doing, guys? What's up? What's up, friends? What's good? Yo, if you guys aren't following the Nerditor, go drop a follow over there. We are talking about fantasy and the genre and limiting deities and limiting power and omnipotence. And my hot take is that if you have interactable deities, that it sort of neuters a small amount of the power fantasy of the story. That's why low fantasy is so popular right now. We were just talking about an area in my world about what happens when you have little 20th level wizards everywhere and they end up blowing themselves up. So I don't like putting a lot of... I try to invoke magic very sparsely and very carefully. When you have a very powerful spellcaster, I try and make it a very rare and important event as opposed to like, oh, there's 20th level wizards everywhere, you know? Good to see you guys. Good to see all of y'all's. Welcome in though. So yeah, I think that it's important to sort of keep that in mind as like, what does it mean when you have, like, it's fun to have like all these crazy high level spells and whatnot and stuff that's accessible to your players, but what does it do to your storytelling when you have like these characters? You have to conveniently explain why all the 20th level wizards or why the deities are staying out of a conflict. And yeah, I haven't heard like a really good explanation that's sold me yet. It's always like, oh, the gods have some pact where they won't interfere with mortal matters. You're like, okay, that's cool, but like I've heard that 1,000 times. Oh, the gods can't interact because they are on the other side of a veil. Oh, so they're not omniscient and not omniscient and omnipotent. So they're not. So we shouldn't really use the word deities then for them, or gods. We should use like powerful spirits. Well, that's fine, but it kind of takes away some of the majesty of the idea of deities, you know? I don't know. I don't know if there's really a right way of doing it, but I feel like it's one of the things that stands in the way of a lot of high fantasy worlds. You know what I mean? Bloom creating our world on stream and talking about space orcs in general, astrophysics most recently. That's cool. I like that. You know what? Honestly, I love that. I love astrophysics. If I wasn't an artist, I'd be a physicist working in the philosophy department of a university, because the physics departments don't exist anymore in modern universities. They're just glorified philosophy departments. That hurts, but it's true. But I like physics. I love it. I love astrophysics. I love space. I love astronomy. I love the entire study of the field, and that's why I very, very daringly chose to make space a thing in my fantasy setting. That's right. Everyone who plays D&D assumes it's the astral sea. Nope, it's just space for me. I think space is cool enough on its own. I think shit like, you know, celestial bodies and quasars and whatever and all this stuff is cool enough. I don't think you need to have astral sea to make space fantasy. I think space is fantasy enough. I think it's fucking cool. You don't need to science fiction the magic out of space to make it accessible. I think space is wicked. But people will come into my stream and like we'll be talking about like how there's different worlds in the realms of Eldara. And they're like, well, how do you get to them? You get on a boat and go through the astral sea? And it's like, oh, there's no astral sea. Nope. There's no astral sea to traverse. They're like, well, what's in between all the worlds? I'm like, space. What do you mean? What else is in between the worlds? The cosmic universe. Radiation. All that shit. Energy. That's wicked enough. But it does make the implication of how the Realms of Eldara works very difficult, because the basic TLDR is that rather than having like the planes of like, ooh, you have the planes of the mortals here and the planes of the wood elves and the planes of the fae here, what I have is the Realms of Eldara. Eldara is what people know my world as, but Eldara is actually the name of a world that you can see in the sky. Boom. It's like this big white Jupiter style world, right? And all the realms of Eldara are actually like moons, terrestrial moons that sort of orbit Jupiter. So you can imagine Jupiter having, like, if Jupiter was way larger and had like 23 Earth-sized moons that all had atmospheres and were terrestrial and whatnot, that all had like cool, magical, different things about them. So when you are on Teleria and you look up into the sky, you can typically always see Eldara, but you can typically also see some other worlds just chilling in the night sky. And you're like, oh, that's Thorash. The land of ancient beasts and crazy things. Cool, neat. So I think space is cool enough on its own. I think astronomy is cool enough on its own. I think it's reverent. It's beautiful. It's everything you want in a good fantasy game. Orcs originated from my world from a crash landing when they were fleeing their original world. Half the orcs spread out amongst the people. The other half isolated themselves in like Wakanda. That's cool. Just an orcish homeland within your world where they try and preserve their culture. That's neat. I like that idea. Space Orcs is cool, though. I don't think that space needs to be inherently science fiction and the interaction of it. I don't think it needs to be sci-fi. I think space is cool enough. Sci-fi has this thing with space as a genre where there's this kind of like reverent quietness, this divinity to like Earth. Whenever you see Earth or other worlds being displayed in science fiction, it's always very interesting to me. And I kind of want to bring that idea of like the infinite star ocean into fantasy, because I think there's the most interesting concepts in fantasy to me in storytelling are the deepest and oldest and most mythological ones. I think that's how you get good fantasy and good stories, is you evoke the oldest stories, the oldest feelings. It's why to me horror in D&D doesn't really do well when it's slasher or gruesome or whatever, and then you rip the zombie's head off and there's zombie worms that are thrashing at you and he's got teeth coming out of the orifice and it's chomping it. Like, that doesn't work. It works visually when you see it on a you know, the theater or whatever, but it doesn't really work when you're trying to explain players. What gives players horror vibes when you're playing D&D, I think the best thing is to invoke like Lovecraftian horror, this sort of ancient cosmic idea of everyone can relate to the idea of like what's just beyond the darkness that you can't see, or the feeling of when you're in the ocean you look down to the deep, you know, or what's behind the door that you don't, you know, those psychological things that I think people interact with really well. And I think there's a lot of that you can bring in from science fiction. The idea of like when you look into a dark abyssal space, it makes you uncomfortable. If you're a normal human, you look down, it's like you look down the stairs to the basement and you just see the stairs disappear into the light and you can barely see the silhouette of the bottom few. And you know there's something in there, you know that there's a basement down there, but you can't see it, and your mind sort of makes you uncomfortable. Or like when you're walking up the stairs at night when you were a kid, or maybe as an adult, and you turn off the lights behind you, and you feel this just like chill in the back of your neck because you're coming up the darkness. I think that's really cool stuff to evoke in D&D. But along those lines, you also get this sort of the idea of when you look up into the abyssal, endless expanse of space, it doesn't give you that uncomfortable vibe. It gives you this optimistic sort of exploratory feeling, like you're looking up to an ocean of vast islands. And I think that's a really cool thing in science fiction that I want to try and bring up into fantasy without it being traversing the gap into sci-fi. So I like that kind of stuff. You want to toss you to your bedroom? Exactly. Yep. You know what I'm talking about. Yep.
Whoa.
What's up, Misprint? Thanks for 33 months, dude. What's up? How you doing, man? How you been, Misprint? Yeah, exactly. Yep. I built the world very early in its history so that I can build the historical events with my players. So theoretically, each campaign with the world, my players will be centuries later and be shaped upon their earlier actions. That's cool. I like that. Defining history as you go, sort of chronologically. That's a cool way of writing a campaign. What's good? Misprint, it's all good, man. I had such a shit week, Misprint. I'm so unbelievably excited and happy to be streaming and just relaxing today and just drawing portals and D&D shit. You have no idea. I'm in such a good mood. It's all good, man. I had to deal with entertaining family and everything this week. Oh boy. It was a long weekend in Canada, so we had to deal with that. But now I can just finally relax and draw runes and mountains and all sorts of nonsense D&D goodness. And damn it, draw it I shall. That's getting better now? Oh yeah, man. We're just chilling. Hope your week's been good. Hope work's been good. Hope family, everything. I don't know, man. Hope it's all been chilling. Haven't seen you in a while. We missed you around here. There's a lot of sci-fi elements, but in the early campaign, the characters and the world at large won't know any of that sci-fi stuff. That's fair. I like that. That's cool. You're doing it. Where are you in Canada? I live in really close to the mountains, so I'm like kind of in the southern Alberta side, very close to Calgary. I grew up in Calgary. I went to school in Calgary. I still live close to Calgary. It was Heritage Day for our long weekend, which I thought was Heritage Day around Canada, but it isn't. It's like, what day is it in Ontario? It's Ontario Day. What day is it in Manitoba? It's Manitoba Day. Oh, we're the only ones with a cool like name for a day. All right, whatever. All right. Yep. You know anyone affected by the Jasper fires? That was crazy. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. So I have friends in Jasper that are not in Jasper anymore. Also, where I live is close enough that we get smoke from the fires so bad. If there's a fire in the Rockies anywhere like South Jasper is kind of the northern tip, or if the wind is going south, we will get smoke so bad where I live that the sky will turn sort of brown, and the sky will go brown, and then when the sun comes up, it'll go red, because the sun going through the sky, the sun will turn to a red dot. The smoke has been so thick where I live that you can stare directly at the sun, which is not a good idea, obviously, but you can look right at it and it's just this red dot. That's how thick the smoke is. But the Jasper fires was the first time that like my wife and Ella and I were out walking our dog, like really quick, you know, in and out, because she just needed to use the washroom before bed one night. And we're walking and we go by a street lamp. And Ella's like, is it snowing? What the hell? And we see like in the light of the street lamp, all these like white snowflakes coming down. And she looks over and I'm wearing a black shirt. And I'm just covered in ash. And she's like, oh my God, it is raining ash here. Holy shit. It was crazy. It was one of the worst ones we had close by. So yeah, it was some serious shit. Thankfully, not the entire city burnt down, but a lot of it did, dude. It was pretty brutal. Those fires were rough. They're still going, I think, actually, in a lot of places. I don't know. Be chilling, I'll say, drawing and hopefully learning. I mean, that's the way you gotta do, I guess, right? I like that mentality, Miss Print. Just always learning. What's up, Kiki? So scary. I was up in Michigan, and it was the first day where they were reporting the fires. Yeah, it's I mean, we also get smoke where I live from whenever California is on fire, which apparently it is right now. So I'm guessing the next couple of days or weeks or whatever, we're gonna also get more smoke from the U.S., which is always fun. But it's all good. I don't think many people were hurt. Fires happen, and they're a reality of like living in the mountains. But then there's like mountains right there. It's like, oh, it's a mountain. This morning on my walk, I saw like a pair of fawns in the forest. It's all fun living in the mountains until you see a grizzly bear. I don't care what people say. Canadians try and make grizzly bears sound like they're no big deal, because they are. Like, if you don't mess with a grizzly bear, it usually doesn't mess with you. Typically, anytime you hear about a grizzly bear that messes anybody up, it's typically always a tourist, and typically always someone who didn't deserve it, but like earned it when you read the story, right? But I don't care, man. It's still scary when you see them. And thank you, She-Devil, for the follow. I appreciate it. Thank you. Welcome in. It's always like, there was a grizzly bear attack. Oh my God, someone got mauled by a grizzly? Yeah, well, what happened? They were just like hikers on a path? No. They were just people walking through the woods? Nope. Well, what happened? How did they get mauled by the grizzly bears? Well, a couple of, I'm sorry to say, but Americans, it's often Americans. Well, a couple of American tourists were up from somewhere in the US, and they followed the grizzly bears to their den, and they were trying to take pictures of them. They got mauled, and you're like, oh. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. You know, yeah, okay. All right, yeah. So they aren't really that dangerous or scary, but it is still imposing when you're like walking on a path and then you just see this giant brown just thing walk onto the path in front of you. You're like, okay. Just get your bear spray out of one hand, get your knife in the other hand, and you're like, I hope I don't have to use either of these. I really hope I don't have to use this one. I hope this one's good enough. To be fair, I've never had to bear spray a bear though, so. And a black bear's a pussy. You can take a black bear. You just yell at them. They're very sweet. They're very cute. Black bears aren't. They're not a problem. They're just gremlins. They get into your shit here. You gotta like keep your garbages and shit locked down, or else black bears jump into that. So, common sense isn't so common. It's still so hilariously cute in summer when they're just you see dandelions. They are. They're so nice, dude. I love them. I do love the wildlife where I live, but I could do without grizzly bears. I wouldn't trade like I love places that have warm weather all year. I love tropical climates. Anywhere that can grow a palm tree, I'd be very happy. If I get a backyard that had palm trees and bamboo, I'd feel probably better. I get really affected by there being not a lot of sunlight here in the winter, like really badly affected by it. January, February, March is I'm a different person, man. I try so hard to just be happy, just to not be depressed. But a lot of people in the northern U.S. can relate, I think, because it's still pretty short days there and cold, especially Michigan. Like, yeah, y'all understand. But like honestly, I like that our predators and things that can kill me, I can see from a mile away. Man, you know how much it scares me the idea of living somewhere like Australia? You're just out swimming, you don't notice there's a jellyfish. And then you're in the hospital and you're like, whoa, man, what happened? Like, well, you died for 25 minutes. You're like, oh, great, cool. Anything dangerous here is giant, and you can see it coming from a mile away. Like a moose. Which mooses are actually fairly dangerous. Don't mess around with mooses. More floating rocks. If I don't do enough floating rocks, I need somebody to remind me to do more floating rocks. For our gateway. We need to tell our players it's magic, and the one way to tell our players that an area is magic is by giving it floating rocks, alright? Up here's overrated, at least when you see them all over the place in Florida. Oh, I bet you get used to it. But like, I don't give a shit with the mountains anymore. Like, let me show you where I live. If I wanted to casually after stream today, I could go here. Yeah, if I wanted to casually today, like it's a nice day out, blue skies, clouds not too hot. I could go here today after stream if I wanted to. You know? It'd be a small drive for me to go here. I could do this after stream and be back in time for dinner. How many times a year do I do this drive? Do I drive the 45 minutes or whatever right here? Not often. I try to enjoy it, right? I try to enjoy it during the summer. But I think wherever you are becomes commonplace, you know? So for me, when I go somewhere really nice, like I'm going to Hawaii to see some of my wife's family with her in the fall. We're gonna go there, and to me, I feel alive there. Everything's green. There's palm trees and bamboo and shit and fucking ferns and whatever. It's beautiful. It makes me feel alive, regenerate, rejuvenate. I'm sure it would become old for me, but I just find that the climate of anywhere that there can be palm trees, I feel better. I like when it's hot out, man. I love it. When it's like 30 degrees here, which is, what is that in American? That's 86 American. I love it. I love those days. They aren't too hot for me. If they're hotter than that, I love it because we get so many days where it's minus 40 or minus 20 something in Canada. That, yeah, dude. To the floating rocks. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you for the reminder. Yeah, the grass is. I want to see mountains on my commute. Mountains. It is weird to not see mountains. I do think that is kind of weird for me. Like every once in a while, I have to go somewhere, a city in Canada called Edmonton, which is north of me, and we go there for like conventions. My wife sells dice, and she has a dice making business and stuff, and we go there for her and whatnot. And we go to Edmonton. They can't see the mountains from the city, and like I've never been like lived anywhere where you can't see the mountains. That's so weird. It's unsettling. When you go north of Edmonton, you go through the prairies. That is some abyssal shit. Like when you drive north of Edmonton, you know the next real piece of civilization is Russia. That's a weird feeling. You're just out in the middle of nowhere, and you're like, I'm driving away from civilization, dude. The next thing I hit is the Northwest Territories. What's after that? The Arctic Sea. You know how it is, man. Kind of like water, the lakes up there is unreal. I mean, that's the thing. Those pictures are real. Of like, well, Moraine Lake is really the only one that gets like that. But like, I don't know. What does Moraine Lake look like on a regular day? So like during the winter, it looks more like that. But that's also the sun. This is more. I mean, I guess it's still pretty unreal, isn't it? Though, right? That's not Moraine, is it? No. Yeah, this is like more. It's like less vibrant than people would think, unless the sun is directly hitting it, and then it is absolutely this 100%. So that's also just one lake, one very special lake that gets a lot of. I don't know what kind of mineral it is, and that changes the color of that. Give your love for the tropics. Is that reflecting Eldara? Oh yeah, dude. There's a couple of places in Eldara that I like. My favorite place in Eldara might be oops, whatever. This entire area in north of the Shattered Sea is all like beautiful, sort of like tropic kind of vibes there, and I love it. And it does. I think I create a lot of like, I try and create a lot of diverse landscape, because the thing is, when you were in the middle of summer, like right now, there's just this small novelty, right? Like we had some cool days recently where it was raining, a thunderstorm. We actually had some insane hail in my area. Like golf ball, baseball sized hail. Tons of people got their fucking houses fucked up. Tons of people got their cars messed up. It was awful. But it was this like kind of winter wonderland where everything was covered in like this hail. It looked like snow. And everyone's kind of like, oh, it's kind of nice, you know, because it's different, right? So I get that there's the novelty of like, you love the winter, you love the summer, you love the seasons, you love different places, but you don't really want to like people who live in, I think, really warm climates really like coming to Canada during the winter. It's very novel. Me, I'm like, bro, I'm so sick and tired of putting my jacket on every time I go outside. I'm sick and tired of putting the dog's jacket on every time she goes outside, and her little dumb boots and everything. And it gets real old by March. I am so over winter. By April, it's usually still snowing, and I am super over winter at that point in time. And by May, if it's still snowing, I want to burn something down. But when the first snow falls in November or October, usually, I guess, sometimes September, but usually October, the first real snow fall is over. It's now winter. It's like late October. It's very nice and it's quaint. I want to have those kind of landscapes around for people. So definitely, I have put a lot of love and care into developing some of those locations in Eldara, 100%. But I do still love the other places. It's just I really, really love, like every time I've been in Japan, it's been as hot as fuck, except for one time I went in the winter. Every time I've been to Hawaii, it's been hot as fuck. Every time I've been to the American Southwest, it's been hot as fuck. And I love it. I love it. I don't love a lot of stuff that comes with hot climates.
Visitors,
but
how
I like the hot climates, you know, as far as just being there or existing in there. So, yo, bonus reaction. Thank you for the raid. What's going on, guys? What's up? How you doing? Thank you for the raid. Hope stream is good. What are we all doing today? How's stream go? What's up? What's up, everybody? Thank you for the follow, OG Biscuit. Thank you, guys. Welcome in, my friends. We're drawing a portal and talking about fantasy and climate. What's up, guys? Good to see y'all. How goes? It goes well. We are getting through this piece. I need a portal for my players. All right. You ever have this like need for a portal in your game? So I need to whisk my players away from the current location, and I need there to be a cool portal. And if there's a cool portal, there needs to be art for the cool portal. So that's what we're doing today. We're making the art for the cool portal, so they can go somewhere else and do some interesting shit that I can't talk about because they might be watching. And I can't spoil too much, but damn it, it'll be interesting. Trust me. But thank you for the raid. I appreciate it. Guys, if you aren't following Bonus Reaction, go drop them a follow. Go show some love. Thank you for doing the shout, Thorkin. even through your lurk. I appreciate it. Thank you, Thorkin. Bro, we gotta hire some more mods. What the fuck? Thorkin was out here lurking, man. He's just chilling. He's still here doing some work. I gotta recruit some more mods, man. Holy fuck. Can't be making Thorkin do everything. Thank you though, dude. I appreciate it. But yeah, I hope stream was good. Hope y'all had fun. Or productive. More productive than I am, because I was just complaining about how much I don't like the cold and how I make lots of tropical locations in my D&D game reflect it. Which I think is normal. I think it's natural. It's perfectly normal and natural to do that, okay? And I refuse any ideas that it's not. Or any criticisms that it's not. Like a big gnarled tree, I think, here. Kind of a crescent shape to it. One thing I think that sci-fi does really well that fantasy often overlooks is making cool-ass, like, locale, like, fantasy-looking trees and shit. It's all, like, too stuck in historical fantasy. You know what I mean? Make some floating trees. Why? I don't know. It's cool. Prep for the next D&D session. Ooh. Ready to hold the party ransom for the TPK. I like it. A world of subtropical tropical world. In real life, I hate everything over 25 degrees Celsius, but I also love the look of subtropical climates. So a large part of the world has a Mediterranean climate. Oh yeah, like so when I made Horizon, Cal, I described Horizon as feeling sort of like Spain. Yeah. That's kind of the vibe. I like that. You know, that's sort of like the heat, the humidity, but still like the diversity of wildlife and stuff. That's a great part of the world. I'd love to go see it, like, for myself. I'd love to go visit. You know what I'd like to do? I think this is the hack. I want to go see so much of the Mediterranean, but I don't want to like have to travel around and stuff and pay a lot of money for hotels and shit. Or okay. I don't know if anyone relates to this, but when I settle into a hotel, I like to settle into the hotel. I don't unpack, but I like to, like, I clean the space. I know, make fun of me all you want, but I sanitize everything in a hotel when I get there, right? I sanitize everything. I check for bed bugs and shit. I do all this stuff. Ella and I are very picky about our accommodations. We're not like hostile enjoyers from, you know, our early 20s venturing and whatnot. So I'm very picky about my comment. I can't get comfortable if I'm not comfortable somewhere, right? So I usually need to stay somewhere that I'm like comfortable with, that's usually a little bit better, or clean. Like, it just needs to be clean. It doesn't have to be big. Like, that's the thing about going to Japan. Japan, inexpensive accommodations aren't dirty. They're just small, and I'm fine with that. If you go to like Anaheim and you get inexpensive accommodations, usually dirty. So whatever. But I like to settle into a hotel. I like to have a room, a bed that I come back to, whatever. I like to be my way. I like to organize it. I like to clean up and put shit away before the room gets serviced or whatever, so I don't get it done every day. This is stressful for me to travel a lot then, right? So how do I see the Mediterranean? How do I see all the places I want to see? Rome, Spain, rest of Italy, Greece, wherever. I think the play is I need to go on one of those seniors old people cruises. I think that's the play. I think I have to do an old people seniors cruise to the Mediterranean. That's what I think I need to do. Oh, Evan, but they only stop at the big touristy places. Whatever. It's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. I'm willing to make the sacrifice to have my nice stateroom, my cabin, and it's mine, and I get to spread out in it, and I get to clean it, I get to do whatever, and then it's the same hotel room, but today I'm in one place and tomorrow I'm in the next place. I think that's the play, because I realized when Ella's mom invited Ella and I on a cruise to Alaska, I think I realized how much I had an affection for old people cruises. I spent so much time in the bars talking to old dudes about like complaining about things with a bunch of old guys, and I loved it. Oh yeah, it was the best. I think that's the play. Is I find like one of the old people cruise lines going through the Mediterranean. I think I find a cruise, and then that's how I steal those places. Especially lasting these more mods. I don't know, man. It's been a lot of the mods have been busy recently. If you haven't noticed, plays. I mean, you and Thorkin have been here like a lot, which I appreciate. I deeply appreciate the two of you. But a lot of the mods have been busy, man. That's fine. I'm not mad about it. I'm just worried about putting the weight on like you guys for always doing shoutouts and shit like that. So playing TPK in the first 5 minutes makes me prepping a full session really easy. Totally. Sure, I'm busy. Yeah, all right. You also think you're funny busy. That's the problem. Is that? Oh wait, you are funny. Never mind. I forgot you're the only mod that actually is funny. Never mind, busy. You are funny. Yep. I just feel bad, you know. I don't want to make you guys feel like you have to be around or whatever. One Empire is also very inspired by Romans, so it sort of fits. There you go. That works. A whole world with one climate, though. That's kind of interesting. I don't know. In the States, a cheap hotel is usually not good, and it's stressful. Oh yeah, I'm. People make fun of me for this shit, and I just have to not care at a certain point in time. But like one thing for Gen Con is like a lot of people are like, Evan, are you going to Gen Con? I'm like, no, it's so expensive. It's thousands of dollars to go to Gen Con. I'm like, what are you talking about? The ticket's only whatever. I'm like, okay, but flights are a couple $100s. They're like, yeah, so ticket and then flight, that's only like you're at like $700-800. I'm like, yeah, and then accommodations be like $1,000. You're like, what? What kind of Airbnb is $1,000? And I'm like, oh, that's where we differ here. I found the place where we mixed up here. See, you think I'm gonna stay at an Airbnb. That's fine. Airbnbs, I'm sure, are lovely. I have a lot of like allergies to shit. I don't want to fuck around. I want to stay in a nice corporate, whatever, maintained, standardized hotel. It needs to be clean, and that's all I care about. And that's usually like $150 a night at the minimum, typically. You know? And that makes trips a little more difficult for me. So Gen Con is not like a share an Airbnb with like 8 other streamers and sleep on a futon in the living room kind of thing for me. So I have to be, yeah. I have to be like unnecessarily and annoyingly picky about where I stay. And I get it. I get I'm the weird one here. You'll have to remind me that I'm out of the ordinary. When bonus to having visited Rome is that I have absolute shit ton of pictures I can use inspiration. Dude, I want to go so bad. There's a couple of pieces of art I want to view in my time, like physically with my own eyes. There is there's a Jan Mateo piece I want to view. Where is it? Where is it? Is this one? I'm pretty sure this is in Warsaw. I want to go see this painting IRL. I want to see this painting it with my own eyes. Then I want to see I want to go to Amsterdam because I want to see this painting with my own eyes. The Night Watch. And then I want to go see I want to go to Vatican in Rome. And I want to see this sculpture with my own eyes. Pieta. Then finally, I want to go see... Where is this one? Where is David? I forget. David is in... Florence, that's right. Couldn't remember if it's Florence or Milan. But I want to go see... this sculpture with my own eyes. Those are 4 pieces of art I want to go see. One is in Rome. One is in Florence. One is in Amsterdam. And the other is in Warsaw. And I need to go see all of them. But first, I need to stand the fuck up. second. I need to grab something. All right, I'm back. So yeah, those are 4 pieces of art I need to see before I die. And they're on the other side of the planet, unfortunately. To me, those are 4 of the most important pieces of art ever. And unfortunately, I don't live there. I don't live in Europe. Sucks, bro. There's a couple of other things I want to see, obviously. A couple things I've already seen. Like a couple things of Japanese art that I wanted to see. A couple of architecture things. Like one thing I wanted to see before I died was like Meiji Shrine in Tokyo. Got to do that. One thing I wanted to see was like a couple of cathedrals in Europe as well. That's another European thing. So I'm not honestly shooting that well when you think about it on my list of BS I need to go see before I die. There's quite a bit missing. Not batting very high so far. We visit Rome. One place you need to visit is the Ara Passis Monument. What the fuck is that? Probably know it. I just don't know the name. Oh yeah. Look at this shit. Yeah, they get the box, man. Look at that box. Totally. That's a great fucking box. Top like at least, hold on. Top at least like 4 boxes ever. Yep. There's a lot of places I want to go see, man. A lot of things I want to go do. A lot of art I want to go experience. I think that's one of the most important things. Like, I don't pretend to preach to what you should do as an artist, but I do think that travel benefits artists. I mean, travel benefits everybody. Why do I have... Oh, fuck. I forgot that Ella sent me this link to Gundam Crocs earlier. Speak of the Ella, for she calls. That's hilarious that I was just shit talking Ella and she called me to ask them about groceries. She wasn't even watching my stream. But yeah, apparently it's got him Crocs and she wants to get matching Crocs. She wants us to go out in public whilst wearing matching Gundam Crocs with Gundam pins, because apparently Croc pins are a fucking thing. The Crocs that Blaze got me just came with the pin, so I don't know about this peasantry that needs to purchase their own pins for their Crocs. Bestow upon the wife the gift of Gundam Crocs. I think I'm busy that weekend, Blaze. Actually, yeah, I don't think I can. I think I'm busy. Yeah. Ah, shit, man. Yeah, I think. It's too bad, bro. Oh well. Well. It's fine. Sometimes you get it. Sometimes you get got. Oh well. She would make me wear them with her in public. She'd make me walk the dog with her in public. People would see us wearing matching Crocs. I can't have that. Yep. Right next to the Augustus Mausoleum, so it's 2-for-1 sort of idea. Well, that's efficient. Yeah, I'd go do that. I'd love to go to Rome. It'd be a crazy holiday. Yeah, I think I want to preach to artists about what they should do, but I think that like everyone, mostly everyone, fuck it, everyone benefits from travel. I'm just gonna say it. You never been anywhere, like you're missing out, bro. You're missing out on formative experiences. Now, travel is a blessing, but people can often travel a lot easier than they think. It's not something that's just for the super rich. I made travel work for a long time on a fucking budget, and I just complained about how picky I was. So it can be done. But anyway, as an artist, I think it's absolutely necessary. I think traveling places, seeing art, seeing locations, seeing like if you want to be an interesting artist, I think you must travel. I think you must see art, you must experience culture, and you must experience environment. You must see the rolling fjords of Scandinavia or the cliffs of Alaska. You must see the dunes of, I don't know, somewhere where they have dunes. You must go travel places far from your own experience, and you'll come back a better, stronger artist. It's the single most beneficial thing to me, and I'm very much looking forward to the work I will do this November, simply getting away to a place that I've been many times. 100%. Because I'll buy them? Stop. It's good to travel with when artists just look at the grand tours of the artists in the 18th, 19th centuries. Yep. It's a tradition. Lord Byron's grand tour. I know a Byron. Every time he goes anywhere, I say it's Lord Byron's grand tour. And he doesn't think it's funny. I think it's funny every time, but regardless if I'm actually funny. Nothing's important. Like, the first trip I ever took, really, as an adult, like, the only trip I'd really taken when I was young is I went to Disney World once because my parents decided that, like, we didn't grow up super well off. My parents decided they wanted to take my brother and I on at least one family vacation. We got one vacation. It was to Disney World. My mom loved Disney, and she wanted to take us there, and it's great. So that's cool. But I had never been anywhere besides like the Canadian. Every time we went for a trip or whatever, it's always to the Canadian Rockies or to see family and somewhere in the BC or whatever. So I never really got a lot of experiences outside of Canada. My first trip I went on as like an adult, like independent of parents, was I went to Vancouver with my friend John and Ella. The three of us went to Vancouver. Just fuck around, just eat food and do whatever. It's like pretty boring, but like it was fun. And that like changed my perspective on things a little bit. And then Ella and I started going places. We were very fortunate for her mom to take us on some trips. Went to places like Las Vegas and Hawaii to see her family, and then we started going places on our own. Went to Japan and Anaheim for BlizzCon to see our friends. And I always found that anytime I went on a trip, anytime I traveled, I came back insanely refreshed and insanely inspired, man. Like an unreal amount of inspired. If there's one way that, like as an artist, the only thing you can do, really, is to try not to get in the way of the muse and to try and invite her in whenever she presents herself willing. That's all you can do, man. You are a slave and a servant to the muse and her whims. But you can certainly allow for a more... You can be a better host. to the muse when she calls. And I think that travel is always a way to invoke it. You come home from your trip and you're like, wow, I did not know I had this like art or whatever inside of me. And you impress yourself. Amazing. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing what kind of stuff I produce through the winter. Hopefully coming back revitalized, rejuvenated. Even small trips like camping and stuff. Doesn't have to be far, dude. Go for a day trip. There's a lot, wherever you live, unless you're Blaze, there's something interesting within 3 hours of you that you can do a day trip of. I promise you. No matter where you live in the world, again, unless you're Blaze, there is something interesting within 3 hours. Go see it. You live there all your life, and only tourists go to Banff, Alberta, or Jasper. Shut up. Take a trip. You'll be fine. You'll have fun. You'll enjoy it, I promise. Make some amazing art when you get home. And if you don't, then you're not a real artist. You're a filthy Genshin player. Evan, why is the dynamic only artists or Genshin players? If you have to ask. Damn, that seems toxic, man. And yet here we are. Dude, I love drawing trees so much. I don't know why. Like dumb fantasy made up trees. I love it. And I'm not gonna stop. Alright. I'm definitely gonna use some weird colors for this, though, by the way. Like, we're gonna do some, like, I don't know, autumn yellow trees or gold or some shit. It's gonna be dope. Trees are the best? They are. They're actually super nice to draw. They're very low pressure. Once you, like, get the hang of how tree anatomy generally works, they're a lot of fun to actually just, like, mess around with and break the rules with. I want to get to that point with drawing faces. Portraiture is still very difficult for me. I have to like think about it very hard and I have to walk away from it and then come back to it and look at it and measure it. Portraiture is still something that I don't struggle with it, but it takes a lot of energy to do. It's not like one of those things that you can sort of like put on autopilot in your brain for me. A lot of artists have those things. They like find a comfort zone. That's why artists do like stick their comfort zone so often. They draw like, you know that artist that perpetually draws like that one type of character or that one type of thing. There's like that artist that like everyone memes on that's like really famous that only draws girls with short hair. That Russian dude in Japan. Everybody's like, your art's so pretty. It's like the same art and it's like it's really cool, but like it is kind of a meme and it's funny, although, you know, that guy's fucking sick. Once you get comfortable with something, it's like sometimes all you want to draw. It's very relaxing. And man, if someone will pay you to draw it, oh shit. Like, I would really, really love... One thing I would absolutely adore this year is if I can change my clientele from being just players to being a mixture of players and GMs. And do these kind of, like, sketches for GMs. But I find that GMs don't value their world the same way artistically. They don't want to get art made of different places like this the way players do for their characters. And that's fair. And it's kind of where it doesn't work out because, you know... I don't know how long this piece is going to take me. Probably 8 hours in total. I'm just guessing. And like an 8-hour piece is expensive, and for a GM it's not necessarily best value. But for a player, a 10-hour sketch is like, well, it's my player character. But I'd love to do more world stuff, more landscape. I might like heavily discount it for GMs or something, and for world building this year. I really love doing locations, environments, and that kind of sketching work as well. It's just very fulfilling and very relaxing. It doesn't require me to like sort of psych myself up like when I have to do a character piece. Like it doesn't take energy, or it does, but like the energy draw is so minimal. If I'm painting a character for like a 4-hour stream, the energy draw is like, it's fun, it's invigorating, I love it, but the energy draw is much higher than if I'm painting environments or doing magic items. Which is why I don't do characters on Fridays, because for requests, because it's such a strenuous process already to take requests from chat all day, that if I was to take character requests from chat all day, it would just be too much strain, you know what I mean? I saw some Wallop art and was blown away how good it is. Seeing what like that, I guess it's good inspiration to keep learning. Yeah, you know what's great? So Wallop is an example of fearlessness entities. So Wallop's an actual painter. I don't know how to pronounce Wallop's name. Ghost Blade. So with painting, this is gonna be a very hot take and a very contentious take. So take what I'm about to say with a grain of salt. A lot of artists will disagree, but a lot of artists who are even better than those artists who disagree will agree with me. So, but I just want to address there'll be a lot of disagreement. People who learn how to paint properly have to be fearless, because if you're painting properly, classically learning how to paint, without using a lot of layer voodoo, without using a lot of Photoshop cheats, without using line work and the kind of bullshit that we do now stylistically because it's easier for a lot of people and stylistically preferred than because of it for a lot of people. The original way of sort of learning how to paint properly and classically is one of the most taxing and frustrating things, because you are terrible at it. You are non-passably bad until the day you're good. And so you look at where Wallop started painting, and this is the first issue of Ghostblade, which is Wallop's comic, and pretty good fundamentals, understanding of shape and color and space and whatnot, but definitely not polished, not clean, and lacking a lot. But fearlessness, willingness to be bad at a more difficult skill longer. Like you can start making art, and you can learn how to make League of Legends splash art in, let's say, it takes you 3 years to make League of Legends style splash art, which is doable if you're good, or if you're dedicated. Being good at art is a choice. So if you're dedicated, and you'll be passably good in like a year. But if you learn how to do this shit, you'll be good at it in 5 years, and you will be unbelievably bad and unpassably bad at it for 4. And artists can't stomach that typically. That's why you see a lot of, and now I'm not shitting on anime or Critical Role style, like sort of fan art, like DeviantArt style, whatever stuff at all, because you make the art that you want. Like, honey, you are the greatest artist that you will ever be, and you gotta love yourself and your art for what it is, and don't fucking let anyone take that away from you, and do whatever art you want to do. But with a big however, the big however is, I know a ton of artists that do sort of like an anime style, or like a modern sort of cartoony video gamey style, or whatever it is, that lament that they will never be a great painter because they don't think they can do it. And it always kills me inside when I see them not trying because they don't want it. They don't have it in them to fight the fight failure and to bite off failing at something long enough. But like I talk about some artists like Jamie Jones is one of, if not part of the pantheon of the best artists of our generation, of living artists. And when you talk to concept artists, Jamie Jones is a name that everyone knows, and Jamie Jones sort of defies understanding of how to be good at painting, because Jamie Jones is a classical painter. So this is how good you can be when you take the long way. And I know lots of artists that lament the fact that they'll never be able to be this good with this few brushstrokes and this good of an understanding of color and light that they'll never be able to create art like this, that are paintings like this that are truly transcendent and will last because they are more classical. Whereas in 100 years, who's going to be the artists that are remembered? Not the League of Legends splash artists that are very stylized, not the anime artists that are very stylized, not the cartoonists that are very stylized. It'll be the classical painters. If you want your art to be traded in 100 or 500 years, learn to paint classically. This is why things like Star Wars, the decision to do a classical score for Star Wars instead of a contemporary disco soundtrack is one of the reasons why Star Wars is still watchable today. So you can take an artist like Jamie Jones, and I know artists who paint like anime style artwork, League of Legends splash art style artwork, whatever it is, that bemoan the fact that they will never be a painter like this. And I'm thinking to myself, like, stop telling yourself you can't do it, and just summons up the courage to be bad at it for like a while. But artists, it's so fucking draining to be bad at art. And I'm not chastising anyone or castigating anyone for doing this, because I understand how bad it is and how scary it is. I couldn't handle it, and I gave up on art for years because of it. I get it. But I also recognize that was one of the single most damaging things I've ever done, was allowing my fear of being bad at art to force me to stop. And that's why recently I started painting classically again. And I haven't worked on this in a couple weeks, but like I started doing this this is about like 20% through a painting. Like I started painting one layer oil style classical painting again, because this is the kind of art that I want to make when I grow up, you know. And it's hard, it's fucking brutal. I still like my sketch stuff, and I'm not going to forego it, because this is an efficient way to tell a story in 8 hours, and those paintings take like 30, 40, 50 hours. But don't let like hard, difficult styles scare you away. I think as an artist, it's so frustrating to watch artists not push themselves because they don't want to be bad, and they can't handle it emotionally being bad. And I just wish that artists could take a breath and be more confident, and be okay and confident in being bad. I wish they had it in them, but I get why they don't. We've been super conditioned to not. And certainly the way that an artist makes their money today is not by being bad, and not by learning. We don't have great academies and schools and patrons. Like, I don't have a patron that's going to say, Evan, I want you to make a classical painting, and I understand it's going to take you 10 classical paintings to get to the point where you can make the classical painting I want to make, and I'm going to pay for each one of them. And I'm going to pay you for half of your commissions every month for 6 months, and on the 7th month, I want you to paint for me your magnum opus. So I'm going to pay you $2,000 a month for 7 months, and 6 of those paintings are going to be bad. Like, you don't have that anymore like you used to in sort of the old whatever days. You also have distractions. You have Genshin Impact and World of Warcraft. But I wish artists would reach higher and aspire to the things they want to aspire to. Listen, and I'm not, again, if you want to play League of Legends splash art, and that's where you're happy and you're comfortable, that's fine. You know your strengths and weaknesses, and I got nothing against that. But what frustrates me is the artists that want to do something more difficult but choose not to because they don't think they can. That always fucking guts me. You know? I'm at the beginning of my art journey, so I'm still kind of figuring that out. Yeah, totally. I like to be able to sketch and work, do sketch work and line work and stuff for defining figures and forms and characters. Work like you do, not necessarily the same style, just like professionally level. Thank you. It's very flattering. But when it comes to my desire to do things along the line of WoW style for like painting, do you know good resources for that, or is it just a bunch of value studies and light studies? It is the boring stuff. It is the classical painting. If you want to learn how to paint like that, seek resources and learn to paint like an oil painter. Don't learn to paint like a digital painter. That's my advice. That's where you'll find the best resources for doing that kind of stuff. Where you're painting with figure and light. Look up artists like Jamie Jones, Kekakotaki, James Pack. Look up, I mean, shit, dude. Just look up the entire Brainstorm school faculty. Like, the whole faculty that offers mentorships from Brainstorm. right? John Park, holy shit. Jonathan Coe, Oliver Beck. I forgot about Oliver Beck. I don't know. I'm not familiar with Mikhail all that much, but June, absolutely. There's James Pack. Cypher, I don't know how it is. Keshan Lamb, like these are the painters, man. These are the ones. Like I would fucking kill to be able to, like, man. I would kill to be able to do one of these mentorships. $5,000. God. But these kind of guys have resources that are free, YouTube tutorials, that kind of stuff, whatever it is, that are available. You don't have to necessarily go through like their mentorships to get a lot out of it. Yeah, it's brainstorm school. Just do messy, do crazy, just try and do it each time to get more XP. Yes and no. I think that you can practice like that and spin your wheels if you aren't intentionally trying to focus on something. You get experience, but it's kind of like training in the gym. If you go to the gym and you just pick things up and do things with heavy weights, you will gain like strength and muscle mass, but it's not as efficient. You know what I mean? So I need a new nib. I think my pen nib is the thing that's fucking me up today again. Where are my nibs? I just got 2 packs of what the fuck? I'm downstairs. Oh well. I'll finish this tree and then we'll basically be done most of the foreground. That'll be a good part to leave it on for the first part of the recording anyway, so it's fine. I can get through this bit. Yeah, man, getting good at art's really difficult if you want to be a master at it. Anyone can be passable at art very quickly. If you really want to go down that road of mastery, it's fucking brutal. Alright, dumb tree. She looks so stupid, I like it. Looks like a hand doing this. I kind of dig it. Like it's weird tree anatomy. Be something better than nothing, but intentionally doing something better builds the skill better. Yeah, I think so. Definitely, some people put too much pressure on the skill base. Like what Chase was saying, that's really important is when you put too much pressure on doing it properly and perfectly and whatever, you sometimes remove the what's the term? You remove the the ease of access of doing something, I guess. I don't know how to put it, man. Anyway, I think I'm not going to quite finish the foreground because I can't find a new nib and we've been working on this for 4 hours anyway, almost. So I'm going to save it. We're going to stop the recording there. Let's see it before we end today. Let me just see the recording. Where are you? You are recordings. Aha! Oh, wait. It's already finished. Alright, let's see it. 3, 2, 1, go. I like how the circle just appears. It just and suddenly circle. That's neat. I like that. That's a good first section of the recording. Look at it go, man. It's so satisfying to watch this process. You just kind of wonder, you're like, wait, that took you 4 hours? Like, we were talking and yapping and shit and whatever, so... Probably like 2 hours of dedicated work, maybe? 3 hours of talking shit while doing stuff? I don't know. That's so cool. Anyway, I'm glad to be back, man. I'm really glad to be back. after missing 3 streams in a row. Sorry about that. Sorry, especially to my subs who pay for us 4 streams a week. I feel very bad about that, but there it is, bro. You almost finished your first sketchbook? That's awesome. Sketchbooks are important. It's important to have. I will never show you guys my sketchbook because for me, one of the things that I suffer from is pressure with my art. A lot of artists suffer from it. Very few artists are free from it. No artist is above it. And I think it's important to have a place that you draw, that you make art, that you practice, that you don't need to worry about anybody seeing. So I have sketchbooks that I won't work in my sketchbook unless I have a pact with myself that it never sees the light of day. That's a place of complete safety and work. So sketchbooks are very important. You should work on sketchbooks. But anyway, have a great rest of your day. Chill out, relax. It's Thursday. It's almost the end of the week, so go play some games. Go download Planet Zoo or whatever. I don't know. Go play some Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition. I don't know what I should do. I need to play it. I still haven't found a game that I really invested in right now. Maybe in Diablo 4 season, maybe I'll play. I don't know. Anyway, I'll catch you guys later. I'll catch you tomorrow for requests where we do some faster landscapes. Maybe items. Until next time, my friends. Farewell.